Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to another edition of Pewter Game Day, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from PewterReport.com with you on the Pewter Game Day pregame show, along with JC Allen, also from PewterReport.com, for this upcoming Bucs Saints Sunday night football game. Pregame show as obviously starting right now, and the Game Day live in-game show will start around 8:20 with myself and Paul Atwal. We will be taking you right through this game, play-by-play, analysis, live, everything as it happens. It's going to be a good one. It's for the NFC South title if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, trying to do something they haven't done in 14 years, JC, and it makes this one certainly a lot of fun. Bucs Saints tonight, JC, and as we get started diving into this matchup, want to first note that the Bucs will not be playing for the number one seed in the NFC tonight, because the Ravens did fall to the Packers 31-30. A close one, JC. They gave it a great fight with Tyler Huntley in their quarterback. It shakes the confidence of Packers fans if to see that, I think.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, me and you disagreed on that last play. I thought you play for overtime. You like the decision to go for two, just not the play call. Yes. You know, and you see in the chat, obviously, everyone was hoping for a Packers loss, especially when Ravens got up early and then the Packers came in and they took the lead and then Ravens came back. That's the best scenario, with the Cardinals falling to the Lions today.
Yeah, what in the world?
You were hoping for the Ravens to handle business, because after this, the Packers have the Browns next week, and that really looks to be the most challenging teams on their roster left, if you can call it that. And last thing I want to do if I'm a Bucs team is go back to Lambeau, this time with full capacity. They know they can play in the cold, but they haven't been playing well on the road, and to go to an environment like that makes me nervous if I'm a Bucs fan and if I'm a Buccaneer. Well, not as your player, you're probably confident, never. But
right. I mean, they've played the Packers, obviously squared up and done well, but at the same time, Rodgers is playing great football. So there's certainly a lot of layers to this one that we'll get into in future episodes. But most noteworthy, they will not be playing for the one seed tonight. A win over the Saints would give them, would secure that, to help secure that 2 seed for real. I mean, it would probably, if they win out, the Bucs, I believe I saw today, if they win out, they can't finish worse than the 2 seed. So if they win tonight, assuming that they'll beat what's left of the Panthers twice and whatever the Jets are once, which in this year's NFL, who knows? But the way that it looks, assuming they can take care of business in those games, they will be looking at the 2 or the 1 seed.
Yeah. They'll be tied for the 2 seed right now if they lose tonight with the Cardinals and with the Cowboys.
And I'm not sure. I know they have the tiebreaker for the Cowboys, but I'm not sure how that worked with the Cardinals. I'd have to get some paper out and look at that one. Maybe we'll figure that out actually or maybe Greg Alman will tweet it out. We'll see. But let's get to some injuries tonight, because we do have some time on the pregame show to do that. The Bucs tonight, they will be without Giovanni Bernard, who moved to injured reserve with that hip and MCL injury. Brashad Perryman on the COVID list. Bucs have kind of been hit by some injuries late in this week. Perryman at the COVID list. Obviously, Antonio Brown is suspended. Those will be the 3 players they're down. Offensively, obviously, Aaron Stinney, backup guard, acknowledge him too. But on defense, a lot worse than the secondary. Jamel Dean will not play with an illness. Antoine Winfield Jr. was ruled out at game time, really. The first, I think it's the first game time decision that hasn't really gone the Bucs' way this year, I feel like. I thought he was going to play, especially because they didn't bring a safety up, JC. So now they've got Jordan Whitehead coming off this calf injury. They've got Andrew Adams back there, obviously. And then Ross Cockrell's the third safety, and then I have no clue after that. Is it Bleedy Ray Wilson, or they elevated from the practice squad? We'll see, because it won't be Richard Sherman. He's also out with an Achilles injury. This is the third different injury that's caused Richard Sherman to miss some time, so his body is definitely a big question mark here to finish out the season. And Mike Edwards obviously suspended as well, so they're down another safety because of that. So continue to go every single snap this season without a snap together from their starting secondary right now.
Crazy. It's absolutely insane. And I mean, you're right. I know you've been quietly campaigning for a look at Troy Warner from the practice squad. The fact that they didn't bring anybody up,
I just love his brother,
is alarming, because of the depth you have there. Ross Cockrell looked great in preseason. We haven't really seen too much of it in the regular season. Can he transition back there? I'll tell you what, and I said this in the group chat earlier today, Andrew Adams continues to be one of the most impactful in-season signings. He's this year's Ross Cockrell. Like, he has been able to step in, step up. Sure,
as soon as the Eagles cut him, they jumped right on him because obviously they knew what he was and how he fit. And he's played fine. Last week was rough for everybody in the second half, but him included. But he's certainly been capable. And so tonight we'll see. I mean, we'll talk about the Saints offense in a second, but if there was a game to be without your safeties or some of your safeties, it might be this one. Although I don't know who's going to play free safety tonight, so that is something we'll be watching for the Saints. A long list here on offense. Michael Thomas, obviously, he's been out the entire year. Doesn't look like he's going to play at all this season. Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead, both of the Saints starting offensive tackles, are out for this game. Anders Pete, their left guard, has been on injured reserve for a number of weeks now. Deontay Harris, their speedy little wide receiver, is suspended. Jameis Winston is on injured reserve. Landon Young, who would be the backup right tackle tonight for replacing Ryan Ramczyk, is out. So Jordan Mills, their fifth offensive tackle, who does have a long history as a starter. They've done a good job of getting depth at that position. He will start tonight for the Saints. And then Garrett Griffin is their fullback, H-back, versatility package guy. He is not going to play tonight either. And I don't think I forgot anybody on offense, but Peyton Turner.
Kenny Stills.
He's been, I think, a healthy scratch, I think, if I remember right. I think they actually cut him last week, didn't they? And then bring him back or something? I don't know.
Don't forget about Fighting Irish quarterback Ian Book.
And Ian Book, So defensively, Peyton Turner and Tano Passanio, rotational defensive linemen, are out for them, but not a lot of injuries defensively. They've been pretty okay there. And then Will Lutz, obviously their kicker, has missed the season as well. Yeah. So they've down a lot of bodies themselves. The Bucs obviously down some too, JC. Let's jump into talking about when the Saints have the ball in this one, because it's where it's going to get very interesting for New Orleans, because the one thing they want to be able to do, run the ball with Taysom Hill, run the ball with Alvin Kamara. But the Bucs, I know the run defense has been a little bit leaky in recent weeks, but it's mostly been in like pass obvious situations where they've been up this season. That's where most of their running stat, they've gone to nickel and dime, and teams have countered with the run, and then they've missed tackles. So the second and third level or took bad angles. So I think when you go into a game knowing you want to stop the run, it does become a little different against the Bucs. I think in those situations, they've been pretty good this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be harder for them to run too. I mean, you've listed the players out, both starting tackles and their starting guard, all out, not playing in this game is going to be difficult. Then they brought up a guy like James Carpenter. And if I could be wrong, but as far as looking at their depth chart right now, their starting left tackle with Jordan Mills playing on the right is going to be Caleb Benioff.
Oh, is it going to be Benioff? It's not going to be Mills?
Mills
it was Mills a couple weeks ago when Ryan Ramczyk played, and left tackle is Hurst, right? James Hurst should still be that left tackle. He's played well this season, but either way, Saints are going with depleted resources in the offensive line for sure. But those guys have played together a lot this season. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of depleted, if you're feeling depleted of a little energy, JC, going into this game, it is a night game. My wife said I needed to make sure she drank a Celsius tonight, and I'm drinking one as well. I got the Orange Sickle here, the Celsius Heat edition. I like the heat. People got to check those out too. No sugar and unbelievable taste in these Celsius energy drinks. They're the best energy drink out there, folks. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can find out yourself. You can go to Celsius.com. You can use the store locator and find out where they are near you, or click the banner ads at PewterReport.com as well. Go to Amazon, do the subscribe and save option, get them coming to your house with regularity. Lots of good flavors, lots of tasty stuff from our friends over at Celsius. You can see some of the flavors up there on the screen. JC, when the Saints have the ball in this game, they want to get Alvin Kamara going. That has just been a struggle against the Bucs. He just has not had, since Todd Bowles took over as defensive coordinator, even with all the success the Saints have had against Todd Bowles, it really has not been Alvin Kamara. He scored a couple touchdowns here and there from close range, but that's almost a given. I think what's more surprising is the fact that he just hasn't gotten going in terms of being a big rushing threat against the Bucs. You know, that's kind of been something that obviously they want him to do in these matchups, especially when you don't have any wideouts like the Saints don't right now. Probably their best 2 wideouts are out for this game, and Thomas and Harris. So last time, even earlier this season, 19 carries, 61 yards for Kamara in that game, 3 catches, 15 yards. Last year, 9 carries for 40 yards in the regular season, the beat down of the Bucs, and he had 5 catches for 9 yards. So it didn't really do anything to impact that game much either. Their first week 1 meeting, 16 yards rushing on 12 attempts. He had 5 catches for 51 yards. I mean,
one catch was a late touchdown catch at the end of the game.
A long catch. Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, it was a long catch. Yeah.
It was right before the Michael Thomas injury.
Actually. I think the playoffs, I think Kamara broke 100-yard all-purpose yards, but yeah, he's been
all-purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been shut down by the likes of Devin White, Levante David, and obviously the run defense up front and in the secondary too. That's why I think even though you're losing Antoine Winfield Jr., which is huge, don't get me wrong, huge. And you talked about how big, he could be, who needs to step up and how big he could be in this game. But you get Jordan Whitehead back with a guy like, Alvin Kamara. I think that's going to be big for the defense just because they have nothing else but the run game. I mean, you look at what they ranked total in the league in passing offense. It's 29th overall. And now you're dealing with Taysom Hill, who doesn't even have 500 yards passing on the season. I mean, granted, he's been banged up, but this is not a throw-first quarterback, and they've had plenty of looks. And I think Bowles is going to be able to come up with some creative ways to disguise things. And obviously, if they don't get pressure on Taysom Hill with both of their tackles out, their guard and their do-it-all fullback, I mean, you got to get pressure. And more so, John, you got to do what the Bucs have struggled to do all season when they get pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Finish. It's been the hardest thing to do against Taysom Hill because under pressure passing this season, he's one of the worst graded quarterbacks. He is the worst graded quarterback amongst all PFF's graded quarterbacks that have more than 50 dropbacks this season. That's a low number. So we're talking about 40, 50 quarterbacks in that grouping, and he's the worst out of all of them in terms of passing. But in terms of rushing, he obviously can escape and make things happen. So you got to finish. You got to get him on the ground. If you force him to become a passer and hem him in and don't give him escape lanes, he's going to make mistakes. Just in the handful of throws he has this season, JC, he's thrown 7% of his passes have been turnover worthy this season, just in that small percentage of plays.
I will say too, while it's the Saints have done well, pretty much on the ground, moving the chain. I mean, 4.1 yards per carry. That's not bad when you're handing off. It just, and even for Taysom Hill, over 278 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground this year. So they can get the ground game going if they are patient with it. And if the Bucs are so overzealous to get after Taysom, they're going to have to just play disciplined football because Alvin Kamara is still Alvin Kamara. Yes, you've been able to shut him down, but he's a player too from breaking loose. Taysom Hill, if you can't wrap him up, he's another one of these big body guys that can really run over people. If you can't wrap him up, I could see some leaks getting out through this Bucs defense. They've got to be very careful on how they're playing Hill. And I think Josh Allen running up the gut and killing him for 100 yards last week, was kind of an eye opener. But
could be,
they're dealing with the same type of quarterback this week.
In terms of rushing, in terms of being difficult to tackle. Yeah, Brian, with the $5 super chat, we greatly appreciate that, Brian. Need to establish the run. Brady does this thing, and the defense plays like they did last week. Let's go. Yeah, that's kind of the question, right? First half or second half defense last week?
I was going to say.
There's 2 different things, but obviously Josh Allen presents a problem as a passer that Taysom Hill doesn't really present. The whole plane is basically made out of play action with Taysom Hill at quarterback. That's literally what the Saints do. They have not really thrown the ball down the field with him at all. He's 1 of 7 on 20+ air yard throws this season. So he doesn't have that kind of an arm. He doesn't like to throw the ball down the field a whole lot. When he does, it hangs. 2 of those 7 pass attempts have been turnover worthy throws this year by Hill. So he'll put the ball in harm's way. He'll probably throw it to you at least once in this game, maybe twice if you get into him, maybe more. You don't know. But Hill will make those kind of decisions. I think if there is ever a game for Bowles to pull out the exotic blitz packages that he threw it down last week, it's a shame he had to put them all on tape, but I think this could be a week where it works. But then at the same time, it does require you controlling the pocket. That's the risky thing about blitzes and games and stuff up front is that you have to be able to keep contained and keep Hill in the pocket. He is just uncomfortable when he wants to play from there. So I do think changing it up and committing more resources and coverage is going to, and blanketing things there is going to confuse him some too. The real question will be, can you get home with just 4? If you can consistently and you're the Bucs, it feels kind of like game over to me, right, JC?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's you just hit the nail on the head, right? If you can contain him, get home significantly with 4, I already expect there to be at least one pick this game. If you can continue to get to him with 4 and have all those guys back there to be able to, and it goes hand in hand, right? A good pass rush goes with a good coverage, and even with Jamel Dean and Antoine Winfield out, if you're getting pressure on him at an alarming rate, well, the cornerbacks aren't. It's football 101. The cornerbacks aren't going to have to cover it as long because the rush is going to get there. So they're going to be able to read and react a lot quicker because they're not setting up longer plays, and it's going to really put a damper in what they are trying to do offensively, anyways. So you got to get to them. You got to get to them with 4. You got to get with them, and you got to finish when you do get to them.
Yeah,
because it's going to set everything else up on the defense that Bulls is going to want to do, where the defense is controlling the game and not the other way around.
Right, especially with the injuries in the secondary going to be crucial. One guy I think that could be a huge X factor, JC, is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Only 8 snaps the last time these two teams played. The Saints guards have been kind of overmatched all season. Mentioned Pete being out. Calvin Throckmorton, their left guard for the Saints, with Joe Tryon is mostly when he's come in, he's played that right 3 technique defensive tackle spot. That could be a matchup that the Bucs really need to win in this game. If they could win that matchup with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, it's another layer of challenge that the Saints didn't see last time that they played. But he's got to finish too. That's been his problem, obviously, as well, is finishing this season. Yeah, he's got like 9 missed tackles, and he doesn't even play that much. So
3 or 4 sacks.
Yeah, it's good when that's the biggest thing that we're talking about. But also it can be a little bit troubling too, because at some point you got to clean that up and start finishing, because his production could be off the charts if that happened. But as it stands, he's a pretty well-kept secret from the rest of the league because he doesn't have enough sacks in that column to register. But he's definitely a factor to watch for in this one tonight. You know what else is a factor tonight, JC? Our friends over at ASX Sports, in which we're going to bring in the one and only Scott Reynolds to talk to people about an awesome opportunity they have tonight during the game to win themselves some money.
Yeah, John, we've been promoting this all week on social media and also on pewterreport.com and the Pewter Report podcast. ASX is a next-generation fantasy sports app that allows sports fans like you to trade shares in players in-game like a stock market. It's such a cool concept. Unlike other fantasy games, in ASX, athletes will receive fantasy dividends based on their real-time performances during the game: touchdowns, interceptions, sacks, tackles, passing, and rushing yards. So tonight, in partnership with Pewter Report, ASX Sports is featuring the Saints versus Bucs game. This is an exclusive game just for you Buccaneer fans. So jump in there. This is a free app to download. It's free to play, and you have a chance to win a prize pool of $500. So get in the game. Right now, go to the App Store or Google Play and download ASX Sports. It's absolutely free. And register for the private Saints-Bucs game. The entry code is 5983. That's 5983, 5983. Then get ready for the contest IPO, which is open right now, and go ahead and pick your players. ASX gives you 1,000 fantasy dollars to invest in the contest and buy your shares in your favorite players. You must pick a minimum of 3 athletes to join. And again, that code is 5983. Go download the ASX Sports app and register. It's free. Entry code, once again, 5983, John.
Appreciate that, Scott. Nice opportunity there to win yourself some money. So make sure you check that out and do that tonight. It sounds like a great idea. All right, let's flip the script, JC. Let's go to the other side of the ball. When the Bucs have this thing, this has been the challenge. The storylines, right, have revolved around Tom Brady versus the Saints defense. We've seen all the raw stats, the lazy box score raw stats. But, something we've talked about is that Brady actually played against Saints pretty well earlier this year. Obviously, there were 1 or 2 plays people like to talk about that live in people's minds a lot. But for the most part, he played one of his better games, I thought, this season against New Orleans on most of his snaps. But it's really about limiting those turnovers. Some of that's Brady, some of that's unluckiness, which has happened to them in a couple matchups against the Saints. You'd think there'd be some regression in that area. And some of it is other players, too, making sure that routes are right. We remember that being a theme last year when they played the Saints. But is that the key, man? If they can just not turn it over and be like the B version of themselves offensively, should be enough to win this game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why it's not. I mean, you look at the other side of the ball, and the Saints definitely have a good defense. Playmakers all up and down at every level. I mean, Demario Davis is one of the best linebackers, and that's going to be a matchup where Brady's going to have to look at. You look at their corners and their safeties. It comes down to just playing sound football, playing smart football, and not forcing the issue. This team should be able to go out there and move the ball we saw it last. You talked about it. The game Brady had 345 yards, 4 touchdowns, 375 yards, 4 touchdowns. Obviously, had those 2 interceptions. One of them wasn't his fault. The other one probably was. And you were winning that game, and in that game until the pick 6. So turnovers are going to be huge, but you're playing at home where you've been able to score 30-plus points every time you play at home. Just keep doing what you've been doing at home. Don't change anything. And you should be able to score enough points to win this game, because that's exactly what the Saints are going to have trouble doing, is scoring enough points to stay with you. I don't see any reason why that the Bucs can't get off to a hot start, fast start, and just keep rolling throughout the game. I have them scoring like 38 points in this game.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. I mean, it's not too often. I'm trying to think. It's not too often that you see any competent teams really get blown out, but I guess, I mean, the Saints at this point have been obviously affected by injuries. I still think a blowout would kind of surprise me. I'm looking over some of their scores from this season. I mean, yeah, they've definitely struggled in a few games, especially to put points on the board. That should be a theme in this one for the Bucs defense. But offensively for the Bucs, they are facing a pretty fully charged Saints defense. We've talked a lot about injuries and misfortune for the Saints, but it's almost all been on the offensive side of the ball. And I probably should mention too, I should have probably mentioned this at the outset again, that Sean Payton will not be coaching for the Saints on the sideline tonight. He is out due to COVID. So that's their play caller. Or if it was just a figurehead coach, I would say, okay, well, they can probably survive that. But because he's their play caller too, that definitely changes some things. Now, Pete Carmichael has called plays before. He's been with Peyton forever. So, it probably isn't going to be as big of a difference as it would be in some places, but it still matters for sure. So we'll see how they handle that part of it tonight. Obviously, Peyton has been a big part of the preparation for this game too. But the Saints are a team that's built to respond to adversity, JC. It might sound corny or cheesy, but that is just what they are. When that has happened to them, they have tried to play. They have the leaders in place to take it to another level, especially defensively. I think they like having the pressure on them. So I still expect it to be a really challenging game. One of the keys and the differences for this game for the Bucs, I think, is going to be who is the third option for them in the passing game. Last time they played the Saints, Gronk lasted 6 snaps, didn't really play hardly at all, and was out with the back spasms. Antonio Brown was not active. Tyler Johnson had his best game of the season, 65 yards receiving, 5 catches, but he still hasn't scored yet this season. No Perryman. He's probably going to get a lot of the reps. Scotty Miller's active tonight. Could this be the night? Like, what do you think? I mean, Gronk's obviously out there. They need some of those other options to step up, because the Saints are not quite as deep in terms of coverage as they've been in the past when they've matched up with the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to say thank you, Tony Montana. We appreciate the super chats. Definitely rubies, US dollars, Canadians, pounds, whatever you guys want to contribute. We really do appreciate that. But yeah, I think it's going to be Gronk. I mean, it's going to be Gronk. You're CJ Gardner-Johnson going back up against Chris Godwin, and Chris Godwin already won the angry runs against them. Maybe Gardner-Johnson's a little upset about that and comes out playing a little too over-aggressive against Godwin. Godwin, I think, is going to eat. Mike Evans is quietly 115 yards away. Quietly 115 yards away from another 1,000-yard season. I think he's going to get his fair share. He proved last game that Marshawn Lattimore, who people have said has sunned him throughout the years, wasn't going to sun him this year. And yeah, I mean, you got Gronk back there, going to play more than 6 snaps. Matchup nightmare for that. Even Demario Davis is great, and they've got some great safeties, but Gronk is still a matchup nightmare. The interesting part, though, is exactly who you said. And we wrote a column about him this week about his fate with Antonio Brown coming back with Brashad Perriman, and the glowing love that Bruce Arians gave is Scotty Miller. If Scotty Miller can go out there and have a big game, it makes it so much harder to decipher what's going to happen in this wide receiver room once AB comes back tomorrow. But I think Scotty could be a key contributor. I mean, this stretches the field. Obviously, we know that. We know he's amped up after being a healthy scratch. He's got to be amped up to get back out on the field and say, hey, this is not going to happen again. Like, I am the guy here. I'm that Green Bay game. Don't forget about it. That Oakland game. Don't forget about it. Don't forget what I can do.
Yeah, Saints games.
Go out there and try to have a game.
Right. And not that Scotty couldn't be effective in any game, but it does seem like, I mean, when they've used him, at least, remember, the first AB game was that second Saints game that ended up being a blowout last year. And AB played a lot of that game, probably more of that game than he should have, to be honest. and Scotty was kind of relegated to a background role. But one of the most productive games of his career was that week 1 game against the Saints. And in the playoffs, he made the huge deep catch to set up the field goal to put him up 10. And so he's had good games against New Orleans. And so it is going to be interesting to see how much he gets utilized, obviously, for them. You mentioned Godwin. You mentioned those guys. Some people want the Bucs to run the football tonight. I think that there might be opportunities to do that depending on how the Saints, what kind of boxes the Saints give them. I've also mentioned before that the Saints are a tricky team to run a lot against because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Malcolm Jenkins are, when they're on the field, it looks like nickel, it looks like dime if PJ Williams is out there, but all those guys are also outstanding against the run. So it makes it really tricky. I think you have to game plan for it. I'm not saying don't run the ball at all, but it's not like your typical nickel dime, we just go on a box count and we're going to run the football anyway, because those guys present challenges to your run game, even when it looks good in terms of personnel grouping. So we'll see. $5 super chat. We appreciate this. Drillman32. What are the chances Rojo can match the output of Lenny if Lenny is limited? On the ground, I think they're great. The big question for this game, if Leonard Fournette is limited or does get banged up at all with that ankle, JC, is what happens in pass protection and what happens on passing downs. Because with no Giovanni Bernard, Ronald Jones being a disappointment in that way, Keyshawn Vaughn being very unproven.
I said he was my player to watch. I told you he might be that third down back this game. I tell you, he did I don't know what happened to him last year, and parts of this season, but when he was in college, he was pretty good at pass protection. And he was, he was working behind one of the worst offensive lines in college at Vanderbilt. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there, at least maybe, a couple drives here operating as that third down back to give Lenny a breather. But I think you're exactly right with this. I mean, you got to get the running game going to an extent, but not to the point where you're going to hurt yourself because of it. This is a team that the last time the Saints were in the building only ran the ball 5 times. You got to do it more than that. But also, the Saints are no slouches against the run. They're 6th in the league in run defense right now, only allowing 95 yards a game. And you're exactly right. If you're going to run against them, you got to have to scheme it. You can't just go out there and say, this isn't Pats versus Bills 2 weeks ago where you just keep running at them. You got to make sure you're running at the right times and preferably not every first down in the game.
Yeah, it's going to be critical to game plan for this one on the offensive side of the ball, no question. Callum, we appreciate the £5 super chat. Multiple JTS breakout game, multiple sack, I'm assuming there. Breakout game. Watch this space. White and David need to be on Kamara like glue. True, and White and David have done a pretty good job against Kamara. You almost wonder if it's so good a job the Saints have just been racking their brains all week and how we get Kamara an explosive play. How do we scheme it up somehow? There have been some scheme things that have worked against the Bucs, but they need to be aware of that is how the Saints are going to attack tonight, right? There's going to be some cute stuff at times. It's basically how the Saints have found offense against the Bucs over the last couple meetings. They just haven't had the weaponry. Even going back to the playoffs last year, they used Jameis on that trick play, and that was they just haven't had the big play ability to do it without manufacturing some of that stuff off trick plays. So that'll be a fascinating development. So much on the line tonight for the Bucs. They can win the NFC South, JC. They can obviously, Brady with a great game against a good defense like this can really put himself in the lead with 3 easier ones to finish the year for MVP. They can, like I said, win the division, obviously the playoffs and moving it, staying in contention for the 1 seed if the Packers slip up, but more notably like seizing real control of that 2 seed, being able to do this while a couple guys are injured, get healthy, but also who wants to win the division when you get swept by the Saints? Like nobody, like what an asterisk that would be. And they don't want that. So there is so much on the line in this game. Plus they get to deal a death blow to the Saints playoff hopes as well. So, Hey, subscribe to the Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Hit the like button on our video right now. If you're in here and you're watching, hit that like button. It helps our YouTube SEO a ton. Bring in some new people in here. Y'all have been great about that. You've helped us a lot. We're climbing to 6,500 subscribers. We're getting close. Spread the word. Make sure you're subscribed. It's great stuff. We're going to be live throughout this, right up until kickoff and then through kickoff. You don't have to go anywhere. You can stay right here. Paul Atwal and I are going to be with you all the way through this thing. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to bring in Scott Reynolds right now to talk about some of the matchups to watch in this game. And before he does that, though, he's going to have a special message from our friends over at Immuni Financial.
At Immuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. A-Muni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
JC, we got to get to Colorado, man. We got to do it.
I was just thinking that. Are you in my head right now? Let's get to Colorado. How can we get there, Scott?
Well, I'll tell you what, by saving some money for some traveling, maybe for retirement. Managing your family's wealth means more to Muni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts for the kids, and insurance services. With over 40 years of experience in the Tampa Bay area, let Muni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. They've done that for me. I highly recommend Muni Financial. I use them, but the vast majority of my assets with Muni Financial, and I'm thrilled with the results they get for me. Do yourself a favor. It's a free phone call. It's a free consultation. 1-800-868-6864. That's 1-800-868-6864. Or visit amuni.com. JC, before we get into the matchups to watch, Buccaneers tonight, -11 against the Saints. JC, I think it was -10 last time that these two teams played on Halloween. So we know how that turned out. It was not in the Buccaneers' favor, but maybe it will be tonight. So if you want to place your wagers on MyBookie, do so. They're going to double your first deposit. Use the promo code Pewter. I've already got my prop bets in. I had a great day today on MyBookie. I picked the Bills, the Panthers, 49ers. They all won. So I was very, very happy with my selections. I've done a lot of in-game prop betting for tonight's game. So it's going to be very fun. JC, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I love when you come on here and tell me how many large you've made during your wins on MyBookie. -11. Hey, I have them covering it, so I'm right there with you.
I'm having a much better second half of the season. First half of the season, it was not good. I worked over myself pretty good. I was bad betting. Of course, a lot of upsets too. So
I'm hoping who's going to have a better half of the season too once he comes back, because Jason Light just announced on the radio that Antonio Brown and Mike Edwards will indeed be back with the team after tomorrow once their suspensions are up. And man, he was off to a firestorm when he was started the season, and we thought he could have ended up the most productive receiver. Obviously went out with an ankle injury against week 6, been nursing that, then the suspension comes. I'm hoping he's back to 100%, because if he can be, this is going to be I'm getting AB back before the playoff run.
It's just an embarrassment of riches, JC. It's just ridiculous. Interestingly enough, AB's first game with the Buccaneers was on Sunday night last year against the Saints. It was a 38-3 blowout. So what happens tonight? Well, let's look at the key matchups. Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore. Evans totally worked over Lattimore last time. 2 catches, one of which was a 41-yard touchdown. But the thing is Brady didn't see him enough. Evans was open. That was a matchup that Evans really won all game. And throughout most of the years, this battle has gone back and forth, but I think Lattimore has won more of these games. Of course, there have been some fights along the way too, some actual fist fights. So this is definitely one of the top ones to watch. And JC, also at the bottom of that offensive list there, Chris Godwin and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Again, Godwin really worked over CJ Gardner-Johnson in that matchup. Gardner-Johnson actually got away with the penalty, but came away with an interception. That was right before halftime. And that was kind of a game changer. The refs have not been kind to the Buccaneers in this series, but I think you'll agree, Evans and Godwin, they need to win these matchups tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Evans. I think you talked about the no love lost between these guys. A lot of players, they'll play and they'll jar at each other. And then at the end of the game, they'll be like, all right, good game. Not these guys.
Yeah.
These guys literally do not like each other.
There's no jersey swap after this game, right, JC?
No. And you're exactly right about Evans being open more and just Brady not looking for him as much. And even Bruce Arians said the same thing after the game that, Mike, Brady needs to look for Evans' way a little bit more. And then Chris Godwin was just an absolute monster with Gardner-Johnson. And that was with Gronk only playing 6 games as a hobble. You get Gronk back there, it's going to open up a lot more for those guys. Yeah. This could be the game. And I know Mike hasn't done it against Lattimore in a while, but 100 yards, 115 yards to win the T-shirt hat game, the NFC South, and get your 8th consecutive 1,000-yard season against Marshawn Lattimore would just be great narrative to write about after the game.
No doubt about it. Tom Brady, who has struggled statistically speaking with a 1-3 record against the Saints as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then when you look at the fact that he's thrown only 8 touchdowns with 7 interceptions, he's thrown more interceptions against the Saints than any other team since he's been in Tampa Bay. Now, all of those interceptions were not his fault, but JC, he's thrown 2 pick sixes in the Halloween game. There was one to close the game, and then there was one in his very first game as a Buccaneer, where that was a losing cost down there in New Orleans as well. So maybe he doesn't throw a pick 6 tonight and continues that push for the MVP awards.
Yeah, with a good game tonight, he's got to, because Rodgers has had a great game as well. So a good game tonight, T-shirt and hat, lock up the division. I think it almost locks up that MVP award. It should already, but I think, if they win the division, clinched the playoff ticket tonight, I think that's MVP. He's got to be aware of where Demario Davis is. They've got very good safeties back there that, again, much like last week, he's going to have a hard time looking them off. And he's just going to have to play on point, no turnovers. He's got to make sure there's no turnovers. And when he's throwing these balls to the wide receivers, maybe put a little less juice on them so they can catch it and not bounce off their hands. I don't know.
Well, the thing, too, is Demario Davis has a couple sacks on Brady. Now, he didn't get a sack the last time they played. That was actually former Buccaneer Quan Alexander, who beat Ali Marpet for a sack right at the end of the game when the Buccaneers were obviously throwing the ball. So that's certainly a matchup they're going to have to watch. Demario Davis at age 32, you talk about Tom Brady being an ageless wonder at 44. The oldest inside linebacker in the game is Demario Davis. So he's playing quite well for his age. And that's a matchup of the 2 quarterbacks, Brady for the Bucs offense, and then, of course, Demario Davis for the defense of New Orleans. The matchups on the defensive side get a little bit more interesting, especially, JC, with Shaq Barrett going up against Landon Young, not Ryan Ramczyk. Ramczyk is a player that, with those long arms, has owned him. Shaq Barrett only has 1 sack against the sacks. That came actually against Armstead, the other tackle, who's also not out. Yeah. So we'll see if he can get off against Landon Young. When you look at Shaq Barrett, 3 sacks, 3.5 sacks actually in the last 3 games combined. So he's really, I think, living up to it. John wrote about this on PewterReport.com, living up to that contract, right on the verge of being a double-digit sacker.
Yeah. I mean, Shaq's really turned it on this past season. He's got an opportunity to get to the double digits tonight. You have to think that this defense is look at their chops to get after a guy like Taysom Hill with all the injuries up front. We talked about it. Me and John talked about it earlier in the pregame show. It's just containing, making sure you're playing. If you're gonna be going in, make sure you're aware of where the lanes are for Taysom Hill to escape. And when you get there, wrap up, finish the sack. I can't say that enough. If you're Joe Trine, if you're Shaq, if you're JPP, if you're anybody, finish the sack. Once you get your hand on him, and I know Taysom Hill's not an easy bring down, but finish it. You gotta do it, or at least hold them up enough for some help to get there, for some reinforcements to get there.
Yeah, it's interesting because last week Levante David saw Josh Allen run for an 18-yard touchdown on his side of the field, and also a 23-yard run. So Josh Allen ran for 109 yards last week, but 2 of those big runs came on the weak side of the Bucs defense. So Levante David really has to be wary about that and look for Taysom Hill, not just running to his right, but also to his left. Sean Murphy bunting versus Traquan Smith. With Deontay Harris out, Traquan Smith, who played at UCF, we saw another former Knight receiver last week in Gabriel Davis catch a touchdown pass. Traquan Smith had a touchdown against the Buccaneers from Jameis Winston in that playoff game last year. They're going to need Traquan Smith to step up, and Sean Murphy Bunting is going to have to step up as well, especially with Jamal Dean being out.
Exactly. He gets to move back outside for the first time this season on a consistent for the game basis. And we saw what he did last year at the end of the season, really started to step up. Obviously in the playoffs, remember the 3 consecutive games with interceptions. That's the type of Sean Murphy-Bunting that's going to need to be there today. He's going to, with the injuries in the back, in the secondary, obviously with Jamel Dean and then Antoine Winfield, they're going to need great coverage by the cornerbacks to help them, to help the linebackers and the edge rushers get there even more often, because those 2 positions are going to be hand in hand tonight. Those corners and those edge rushers, because of the injuries that they're both facing. I think if you can get to him and the corners can give you good coverage time, and it's going to come down to play calling too, right, Scott? Because
that's right.
If you're playing on, you can't play off these guys. If you're going to start to get pressure on them, you got to be in their face. And Sean Murphy-Bunting, one of the, he's not a big guy. He's not known for jamming guys at the line, being in their face. But I think that's one of the things you're going to have to see. You're going to have to, you can't really be playing off the line on these guys if the pressure is going to get there, because you can't give them these quick passes that it can complete.
Yeah, exactly. So then the last matchup we got is Devin White versus Alvin Kamara. And actually, I should note it's not Landon Young. Apologies for that. It's actually going to be Jordan Mills at right tackle. But Devin White, Alvin Kamara, so far, and I think you and John talked about this earlier, Alvin Kamara has not really been that big of a weapon. Just quickly, though, he's going to be a focal point tonight without a competent quarterback. I should say a competent thrower, right?
Yeah.
In Taysom Hill.
Yeah, you got to shut him down in the running game, that you've been able to do successfully for the most part. I think the highest output he's had is 81 yards in the past 2 seasons. So you have to be able to shut him down there, and then you have to make sure you're taking away, or if you're not taking it away, wrapping up your tackles when he's at outlet on short passes when the pressure starts to get there. Oh. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. There's a look up at the Bucs offense and Saints defense matchups, and Bucs defense versus Saints offense matchups. Should be a good one tonight. We are just moments away, folks, from Pewter Game Day with John Ledyard and Paul Atwal. They're going to keep you guys entertained, informed, educated all throughout tonight's performance. And then don't forget, shortly after the game tonight, I'm not going to keep you guys up too late, but we will have a Pewter post-game podcast right after Bruce Arians, some of the players talk. We'll get on. We'll wrap up tonight's game, and hopefully there'll be a Victory Monday podcast tomorrow at 4:00. So for JC Allen,
T-shirts and hats.
That's right, T-shirts and hats tonight. For JC Allen, I'm Scott Reynolds. We're going to turn things over now to John Ledyard and Paul Atwal for Pewter Game Day.
Welcome, Bucs fans, to another Pewter Game Day. Bucs against the Saints, Week 15. I'm John Ledyard. Paul Atwal with me tonight to talk about this one. Paul, we have the privilege of being able to go right through this one with everybody, as we did last week, and the nail biter between the Bucs and the Bills. That was a lot of fun at the end. It was fun in the first half, not as much in the second half. This week, Bucs against Saints. We know the history here between these two teams. It should also be noted, the recent history especially, should also be noted that maybe this isn't quite the same level Saints team that we've seen in the past, but still formidable on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I think even though it is a good defense, John, when the Bucs do what they need to do schematically, it's really hard to beat them. And I think last game, they were so close to just fully breaking through. Just a few things went wrong, but in my opinion, Leftwich came up with a good plan. Overall, Brady, pretty strong game, one crucial mistake at the end, but they just weren't able to get it back fully. And yeah, long lost Glazer. I am back in the secret dungeon here. No connection issues today. The only way I'm going out is if the entire power goes out, so I'm out of here either way then. But I'm totally ready for this primetime game, back in the dungeon, back in the film room. Let's go.
Let's go. I love it. I'm excited for it as well. We're about 5 minutes from kickoff here between the Bucs and the Saints. So we'll get synced up here. And I'm guessing you've got this one. This is national broadcast, right? So you're getting this one too. Is that how it works up there in Canada?
Yeah, should be all good. I'm seeing Carrie Underwood sing right now.
Okay, that's what I'm
going
saying.
off.
Yeah. All right, sweet.
Yeah.
I got DK Metcalf with a little air guitar. Levante David just showed up there on the screen.
Okay, I might be even a little bit ahead of you, which would
Maybe
be
you
ideal.
are. Wow. Look
I
at
can
this.
I can easily stop and
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Wow. What a luxury. It's great stuff. By the way, folks, if
Unbelievable.
you're in here and you haven't been in here a lot with us, Paul and I try to stay a little behind you, but you can like pause if you're watching on streaming or anything. You can stop and you can pause it and kind of watch with us if you want. Then sync yourself up with us. It's easier for y'all to do that than it is for us to obviously get on.
And don't forget, if we are ahead, you can pause us as well on YouTube.
Correct. Yeah, you can pause us on YouTube too. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of fix this thing to make sure you're in time with us if you'd like to be. But we probably will be a tiny bit behind social media if you're following things on Twitter or Gamecast app or something like that. We're usually about a play behind, and some of that's intentional. We don't want to ruin it for you. That's the worst thing we could do. So we'll be with you throughout this one talking about it. And Paul, there's obviously for the Saints, their playoff hopes are kind of on the line in this one. I mean, not on the line. They still could make it. The NFC, the battle for the 7th seed in the NFC is pretty weak right now. But it still feels like this is a really important game for them. Obviously, they can keep the Bucs from winning the division. They get themselves one more win, and they're going to need pretty much everything they can get at this point in time. Plus, man, even if the Bucs win the NFC South, they could really make a bad taste in their mouth. You get swept by the Saints, but win the NFC South, that just feels really weird. And then for the flip side, for the Bucs, they probably accomplished what they want to accomplish, except for the 1 seed. If they lose, that would be in real doubt. And if they win, obviously they could hold on to the 2 seed for now and still give themselves a chance at the 1 seed. If they keep winning, they get the 2 seed no matter what happens with any other team. So it's a big game for both, and then a big game also for Tom Brady in the MVP race. So I just see a lot on the line for both these teams. I think it'll be a playoff-like atmosphere.
I totally agree. And yeah, it's not even just the standing stuff. It feels like there's a lot just emotionally at stake here, right? Like this test against the Saints, which, it feels like it's like the monkey on their back that they haven't fully gotten off, even with the playoff win. But yeah, I think this goes a long way for sure. If they don't win this, I have a hard time seeing them win the number 1 seed, right? Because then they'd be 2 games behind Green Bay.
Yeah, they need multiple Green Bay losses, which feels pretty unlikely with 3 games to go, I think, at this point. So, yeah, this is it's a big one for them in terms of the 1 seed. I think they still have a good shot at the 2 seed, though, which is fine. I don't think it would be a death knell for anything in their season if they were to lose. But one of the biggest things here, Paul, is just how good of a team are the Bucs. And that's something we keep going back to. Like, we look around the league and we ask this about almost every team, though, to be fair. It's that kind of season. But we're really asking about the Bucs still. Like, I thought that first half against the Bills, okay, this is the best team in the NFL. And then they allow the second half to happen on both sides of the ball. It was just disappointing stuff. And it's like, okay, what is this team? Like, could they go in the first round of the playoffs and lose to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers? Maybe. Could they also run the table and win the NFC and the Super Bowl? Absolutely. So it's just hard to know. And this is the last 4 games in the year. This is where we figured them out last year and figured out what they were about. And they stayed true to that for the most part. And so I think it's important to use these games to evaluate them.
It might be a bit cliche, John, but I think at their best, the Bucs are the best team in the league. When every team is playing their best, the Bucs are the best. But they feel more volatile than most teams, and we saw it last game. Right?
I don't know if it's because we cover them, but it definitely feels that way, man. Like the Packers go out today, and I get it. Like they let Tyler Huntley hang around, and I get it. But the Ravens play well. But the Packers, like on offense, like churned it out. Like they knew what they were doing, and it's like, okay, I think I know what they are. I think I see where they're limited, but I think I know what they are. The Bucs, I just have no idea. Like they could literally hold a quarterback to 80. I mean, Taysom Hill could have less than 100 yards tonight, or he could throw for 300, and neither would be surprised to me. Brady could throw for 300 tonight, or they could struggle to pass the ball and turn it over and drop the ball a bunch. So they are just kind of a tale of 2 teams at different times. And last week we saw that perfectly encapsulated.
100%, yeah. But for me, it takes some recollection to do it. But when I look at it objectively, or I try to look at it objectively, I come away from last week still feeling better than I did before the week, because I think that first half was so encouraging. And I think in the second half, they kind of just took their foot off the gas, not just in like a effort kind of way, but in terms of some of the stuff they're doing play calling wise on both sides of the ball. I don't think that they were playing that as like a neutral game anymore. But during the entirety of the game, when it was in a quote unquote neutral state, the Bucs completely dominated. So overall, like that tells me that when they're really pushing it, they are still a fantastic team. And for them to do that against Buffalo and their defense is still legit, I think it's a huge positive overall still.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. Bucs offense getting tons of tests, right? They've played a ton of the top defenses, top pass defenses, top good pass rush teams. Bucs defense, on the other hand, has not really been as tested. Last week was a good example. First half, it was like, okay, they showed up for the big test against a great quarterback. Awesome. They've wilted obviously against some pretty subpar quarterbacks this season. Trevor Siemian, Taylor Heineke, not played that great against Jacoby Brissett for most of the game. There's been a lot of those examples too. Now, this is a game obviously against a quarterback who's, Taysom Hill tonight has been more of a threat running than he has been passing. That probably will be an asset for him tonight. He will try to rely on that more than he will throwing the ball. He's 1 for 7 on 20 plus air yard throws. The Bucs obviously down Antoine Winfield Jr. for this game and down Mike Edwards as well. No Richard Sherman, no Jamel Dean. So they are a little bit depleted in the secondary. They've 3 of their top 5 safety options, or I guess 6 safety options, depending on how you factor Ross Cockrell into that, are out of this game. So they are a little bit depleted there. And I know that it's Taysom Hill and he doesn't throw the ball on the field a lot, but I am going into kickoff in 1 minute here, and I don't know who's going to be starting at free safety for the Bucs. Like, I don't know if it's going to be Jordan Whitehead or Andrew Adams, or, both of them have kind of played the same role, and it's been Winfield and Edwards in the other role. And I think Whitehead could probably do it, but neither of those guys are super rangy. Both of them have played free safety, so it's not totally new. I just have no idea which one they think is the best one when they go to single high looks.
Yeah, exactly. And Whitehead is he's more comfortable as that box safety.
He's so good there. I wonder if they put Adams deep.
Right, playing that run fit, but that free safety and those single high looks on defense, which of course the Bucs, they live in those. It demands a lot of that free safety, because not only do you have to be able to see the field and anticipate the passing concepts well, because you can't be everywhere at once, you also have to have terrific closing speed. So those 2 things, obviously, Winfield does very well. A really smart player, hardly ever gets beat by gambling the wrong way. And it's a tough position for Adams or Whitehead to be in, given that there's no way that they've gotten serious reps at that compared to somebody like Winfield, of course.
Right. And on the other side of things, wide receiver 3 or option 3, I should say, big question mark for the Bucs. No AB, no Brashad Perryman. Tyler Johnson's going to get a lot of reps tonight. Probably had his best game of the year against the Saints, 5 catches, 65 yards last time out. But obviously Scotty Miller will get some chances as well. And he's had some good games against the Saints too. Okay, I've got the graphic. What's at stake? Buccaneers with win. What's at stake? Saints with the win, move into the 3rd wild card spot in the NFC. Showing you what's at stake. Bucs are going to kick off. Yeah, Bucs are going to kick off. That's what I've got right here.
I'm going to pause it just as the kickoff's about to happen, and you tell me when it happens for you.
All right. Bradley Pinion just put the ball on the tee, and he is backing up, and he is counting off his paces, and the Saints are going to receive first. So normally we've seen the Bucs getting the ball first this season. Now we're going to see Pinion's arm is up, and here goes Pinion running up and kicking the ball. And this game is underway as Pinion sends this one out the back of the end zone, and the Saints will start from their own 25-yard line with a 1st and 10 tonight.
I think the Bucs are going to have a lot of opportunities to play in their base defense, John. I don't think the Saints are going to spread it out and put a ton of receivers out on the field. I think they're going to play more tight ends, running backs, and that's going to give the opportunity to the Bucs to not test. It's not going to stress their DBs as much as it might against some other teams.
Right. And for the Saints, when they do throw the ball, they're going to be quick, and they're going to try to be quick and try to get it underneath. So how much man coverage?
But as I say that, they come out in 11.
That's right. So they come out in 11 right off the bat, and Hill's back to pass from the shotgun 4-man rush. He holds the ball for a while, throws underneath to Callaway, and going to have 8 yards on 1st down. So 2nd and 2 coming up for New Orleans. So they start with a pass, and Hill drops straight back, or takes it from the shotgun and completes for his first throw of the game.
Expect this to be a zone-heavy game for the Bucs, John, because they don't want to turn their back to Taysom Hill. So what that's going to mean is if he has time in the pocket and if he can diagnose the secondary, he's going to be able to find those underneath options. But that's easier said than done.
Now Bucs to their base defense as the Saints go 2 tight end, and here's Hill with the handoff, and Alvin Kamara is going to spin out of a Devin White tackle, and he's going to pick up 8 yards. So back-to-back 8-yard gains for the Saints, and they are moving the ball 1st and 10 out to their own 41-yard line.
And John, you've talked about the Bucs struggles against the run game when they're in their sub packages, but here in base, that's not something. They've been excellent, better than anybody out of base. It's when they actually have to put an extra DB on the field that they start struggling. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on why
Yeah, even that one they fit up perfectly. Devin White just misses the tackle. He's got to stop his feet a little better, but that's a couple yard gain if he makes that tackle. Hill's back to pass on 1st and 10, flushed out of the pocket. He got way too deep and gave Barrett an angle, and he has to throw it away. So he throws the ball away, and now it's 2nd and 10 for the Saints from their 41.
And that's going to be the key, the pressure, because I think the secondary is going to hold up well enough, and I don't think Taysom Hill is going to be able to just pick apart the defense in milliseconds the way a Brady or a Rodgers would against zone defenses, where they just have the answers immediately. I think Taysom Hill is going to take a little bit longer to process. So then the question becomes, can the pass rush get there before he figures it out?
Yeah, he's holding the ball an average of 3.04 seconds this season per PFF, one of the highest times in the league. Here's Levante David with a stuff on 2nd down. It's going to be 3rd and 11. He drops Ingram for a loss of a yard, and it's 3rd and 11 for the Saints from their 40. And this is the situation you want Taysom Hill in, as long as you can keep his legs from being a factor.
And now this is going to be the big test. And I'm curious, what do the Bucs do? Do they drop 7 in coverage? Do they blitz? I mean, they love to blitz, right? But I wonder how they adjust from what they normally do against such a unique quarterback like Hill.
I do too. That's one of the kind of going to be one of the tells of this game, is how they adjust and how they handle these situations. Honestly, these obvious defense must-win situations against a team that's pretty limited to be able to convert 3rd and 11s. I mean, this is not obviously, and you're going to get a timeout right away from Taysom Hill on 3rd and 11 with that play clock coming down. So, the Saints' limitations, they just don't, in terms of the passing game, are pretty obvious, right, Paul? I mean, the Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith, Deontay are their top guys now. Both tackles, are out. Their number 4 tackle, who would be their backup right tackle, is out on injured reserve. So they're dealing with some backup tackles. They've got to back him in at left guard, and those guys have played a lot of the season, and some of them have played well. James Hurst, their left tackle, has played well, but this is a situation you don't want to be in, where you're in pass obvious spots.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But the problem is you can't just play something like 2-man either, because then Hill can just tuck it and run. And right now it does look like they're lining up in his zone, at least pre-snap.
Yeah, and Shaq Barrett breaks through. Taysom Hill flushed out of the pocket to the right. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka in pursuit, got his arms up, and Hill looks like he has to throw that one away. There's a big collision on the Saints sideline over there. I think a Saints player ran into his own teammate, and it's 4th and 11 on that incompletion. Saints will punt from their 40.
John, I'm curious.
Pressure.
When you have a quarterback that's such a run threat like this, does this affect your defensive line? Does it incentivize you to use fewer stunts, fewer games, and that sort of stuff because of those contained responsibilities, or is it just kind of the same?
It would for me if I were, depending on who my personnel was. Part of the benefit of having a guy like Joe Tryon-Shoyinka when you get to a 3rd and 11 is that you can ask him to wrap and contain. Now, I will say this: as Jalen Darden takes a short return for 6 yards to the Bucs 22, and that's where their offense will start. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka has taken some wild angles this season and missed some tackles, so there's still a little bit of a risk. There's always a little bit of a risk when you run games, but when you have more athletic guys who can track down a runner like Hill in space, it does become a little easier. JTS has actually done a really good job of finding the ball and getting out of his stunts. That one wasn't even designed for him to be out there. He just made a hustle play to get out there and get in Hill's face and force that throwaway. He makes so many of those every game. So a guy like that on the field, it gives you some more flexibility. If you're running it with Sue and Vea and you're asking them to wrap and contain the edges, it gets a lot trickier. I would not do that. I would get away from those things if I were the Bucs.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is because you pointed it out on the live stream last week. The Bucs are playing 2-man, so man coverage underneath with 2 deep safeties, meaning everybody's back is to the quarterback, anybody nearby other than the defensive line. And you realized right away that the Bucs had Vea switch out to the outside, and then he had contain responsibilities on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen just blew right by him on the outside because Vea has no chance in that situation. It's unfair to him.
Yeah, it is. That's where it gets tricky, right? Between differentiating scheme and player responsibility in some of those situations. But yeah, I just think it's really important that if you can keep Hill contained both times, right? You see what Hill's done, right? If his first read isn't there, what's he do? Backs up in the pocket, gives your edge rushers angles to be able to make plays, and tries to roll out and get himself time. Both times the Bucs have been right there in his face and forced throwaways, forced the ball out of bounds. They've played it perfectly on that first drive. It's exactly what you got to do. You got to take away those things. You got to force him off his first read. As soon as he does, he's going to try to get out of the pocket. He's going to drop his eyes. He's going to move around. And as long as you have him contained, he can't hurt you. Like, he's not going to make 100 people miss in the open field like Lamar Jackson would and create space on his own.
Yep.
He's looking for the lane And if you take it away and you don't give it to him, then I think you're going to see a lot of results like you saw in a couple of those throws.
And tell me if I missed it, John, but I don't think the Bucs have sent a blitz yet, like any sort of 5-man rush, even off of when they have 5 on the line. And that's telling because the Bucs obviously blitz a ton, more than anybody in the league. But it seems like they want to test Hill and not give him any easy answers in coverage, not just let him throw hot. They want to actually make him get back there and make a decision. Whereas if you send a blitz and he is able to avoid that free rusher, he's either going to be able to pick up yards with his legs, or he's going to know just immediately after the snap where he can take a quick, easy gain. And it looks early on as if Todd Bowles is saying, nope, I'm not going to make it easy on you. You're going to have to beat us being a drop back passer.
Yeah, we'll see if that works all night, but so far so good for the Bucs defense. They get the ball to their offense, and it's 1st and 10 for the Bucs offense from their 22-yard line. Brady is working from the shotgun. Fournette's in the backfield with him, and he's got 3 receivers to his left. Gronkowski isolated to the right. Brady back to pass, throws quickly, and the pass is intercepted on the first play for Tyler Johnson. It is intercepted on the first play to Marshawn Lattimore. Tyler Johnson looked like he got bumped off his route, and Lattimore makes the play on the ball, and right away you've got a pick.
Unbelievable. And and the channel playing it here didn't even show the play. They were still in commercials. So I'm seeing the replay now. And I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, here's Tyler Johnson on the slant. Clearly held
up. Oh,
at
but that's
the
an
beginning of
incomplete
the route.
That's incomplete. That hit the ground.
Oh, did it? I didn't even look at the catch.
That's got to be incomplete.
Yeah. But if you're Tyler Johnson, it's definitely incomplete. You're right. If you're Tyler Johnson, man, it's the same story to me. Like, you have to be able to get open. You have to be able to get off press coverage. If you're going to be an outside receiver in today's NFL, those are things you got to do, man. Like, you got to be able to make plays like that. And he just hasn't shown that ability. Like, you almost have to use him from the slot, I think, if he's out there. And we just haven't seen enough of that. So it is going to be 2nd and 10. They do call it incomplete on that play. And we're going to see Brady again from the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Back to pass, throws underneath Fournette, and he's going to have 5 yards. So 3rd and 5 is coming up for the Bucs offense. They go pass, and now they'll be in a pass obvious situation on 3rd and 5 as well. I continue to go back to that wide receiver 3.
Based on what the Saints do defensively.
Oh, sorry.
I would way rather see Scotty out there against the Saints specifically.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. And you're seeing Tyler Johnson outside in a couple of these situations in a row. And I just don't think he wins enough there as Brady throws out to Fournette in the flat, who's going to break the Demario Davis tackle and pick up the 1st down. So 7 yards to Fournette, and the Bucs have their first down of the game.
And John, the reason is that the Saints like to play so much single high. They did it right there as they spun down post snap. So you have to be able to win deep on the outside. And obviously Scotty's way better at that than Tyler Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Here's Brady back to pass again. Protection's good. He fires over the middle to Chris Godwin, who makes the catch. Is run into by 2 Saints defenders, Davis and Gardner Johnson, and he is going to get 7 yards. So 2nd and 3 coming up for the Bucs from their own 40.
Operating quickly here. You see Brady firing out signals. Looks like they're trying to get plays off without a huddle here.
Here's Brady from the shotgun on 2nd and 3. Back to pass. Throws to Fournette, who makes the catch, but he's going to be hit and dropped for a loss of 2. And so it's going to be 3rd and 5 coming up. Another 3rd and 5 for the Bucs offense from their own 38.
And just to finish that thought, John, when they do have Scotty on the outside and he's that credible threat against a single high safety, that lets them move Mike Evans inside and take advantage of him there if they want to. It just lets them use Mike Evans in more ways. Whereas with Tyler Johnson, it's more limited where he's kind of more of an inside player.
Mm-hmm. And here's Brady back to pass on 3rd and 5 quickly to Fournette again, who's tripped up this time around his ankles. Carl Granderson got him out in the flat. He saw that matchup with a defensive end against Fournette, and he thought he could hit him in time to get him the 1st down the same way. But Granderson made a great diving tackle, and now it's 4th and 2 from the Bucs from their own 41-yard line.
You're seeing it right away. This is just such a challenging defense to play against. They're so tight in coverage. Guys are right there. I promise you, if Brady's checking it down that quickly, it's because coverage is good on the back end. I highly doubt he's being passive. It's not what we've seen from him.
And I think you see that edge drop out to cover Fournette, and you're like, wow, that's a matchup we can win, out there in the flat. He beat the linebacker on the last play. But again, Granderson made a really good play. Give him some credit there for sure. But again, I think that's where the quickness of Bernard, you're missing it on those plays. Those 3rd down pass obvious. Bernard just gets out there so much faster and he accelerates so much quicker after he catches the ball. That's just not Fournette's game, neither of those things. His speed comes when he gets in the open field after he's had 15-yard head start not in those short area examples there. So that's where I think if you're looking for the impact of the loss of Bernard, I think it does come into play like that. Now, who knows if he would have been out there with the way the Bucs coaching staff loves Fournette, but I think those are situations where Bernard, this is a game specifically, I think, where Bernard can help you a little bit more. So the Bucs punt it away. The Saints are going to take over 1st and 10 from their own 19-yard line, 10:06 left in the first quarter. It's all passing, and so Bucs come out pass heavy. Obviously, they've worked it for them in plenty of games this season. Worked for them against the Saints. Honestly, last time they played them, Brady. People love to talk about the 2 picks, but they don't mention the 375 yards and 4 touchdowns that he threw, in what was a pretty great performance. So, I just think that the biggest key in this game to me is what happens with the third option. If it's Fournette, okay, but I think he's not. If Fournette's your third option in this offense, I just don't think it's very good. If it's Gronkowski, awesome. We talked about it a lot. He's played his worst games as a Buc have all come against the Saints. They've got Malcolm Jenkins, can match up with him. They got with some guys that can match up with them. He needs to win more of those, but that's worth noting. Tyler Johnson played well last time against the Saints. Scotty has played well against them in the past, but when they beat the Saints last year and when they played well against the Saints, those other options have made plays. Week 1, Scotty made plays last year, and playoffs, Scotty and Tyler both made plays. Those third options have to make plays. Those guys other than Evans and Godwin against a team like this that's this deep in the secondary. And
the reason it's so tricky for Gronk is that the Saints match up light. So they're going to match up small against him, whether that be a corner or maybe even a safety. And we saw it in his limited snaps in the last game. And so he's not going to be able to just beat guys off of his route. He's going to have to outsize them on fades, on jump ball type things. And that's honestly pretty challenging, even for a guy like Gronk, especially when you're going up against talented guys. If it's a weak 4th corner or something like that, yeah, you can toss it up to him and he can just go up there and grab it. But when the opposition is playing with good technique, playing aggressively, that makes it a lot harder. Now, if they maybe put a linebacker on him and he might be a mismatch in speed, that's a different story. But the Saints aren't going to give that look. They always match light against the Bucs.
Yeah, it's going to be how it goes, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Bucs handle it in terms of run pass calls, because that is part of the challenge of playing the Saints. They defend the ball, they defend the run really well out of nickel and dime because of their unique personnel in those situations. I would argue that they've got some pass game limitations at the same time in those matchups, but you could see the Saints now starting from their own 19 on a 1st and 10. Hill back to pass quickly outside to Traquan Smith, who breaks a tackle and is going to be near the first down. And did he get it? Let's see where they spot this. He fought forward, and he's going to have about 9-yard gain there. Should have been like a 3 or 4 yard gain, but a poor tackle on the outside. Didn't see who that was. Bucs come into this game as the worst tackling team in the NFL this season. Yeah, that was Pierre Desir on the outside there.
We've seen it everywhere from in the backfield with sacks to down the field with corners missing easy tackles underneath.
Yeah, it's been a huge problem all over the field. It looks like Desir is starting outside. Here's Levante David running through there, but they can't get Kamara on the ground. He'll pick up the first down, 4-yard gain on the run on 2nd and 1. So the Saints will have it out to their own 32 with a new set of downs.
And John, I just to finish up on that offensive possession, I don't think that was. I saw a lot of people feeling gloom and doom in the chat, but they
wanted Leftwich fired after the first drive.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that was okay. You can't score on every drive. At least they didn't go 3 and out. They picked up some first downs. I think there's some good things going there moving forward.
For sure. And again, I get the decision even there as Kamara gets the ball and a missed tackle in the backfield, but then White is there to clean it up and finish him off. So it's going to be a loss of 3 for the Saints. 2nd and 13 is coming up. Whitehead was the first player, flew in and missed the tackle. Lots of missed tackles for the Bucs already in this one, but they do get him down there for the loss of 3. So 2nd and 13 for the Saints from their 29.
I do on paper, even with as hit and miss this defense has been, this should be an advantage for the Bucs. And so far we're seeing that it's just going to be really hard for the Saints to consistently move the ball because they lack that explosive element through the air. It's going to be a lot of stuff on the ground and underneath, and it's just hard to consistently move the ball that way.
Right. And here's Kamara in the slot as Hill's back to pass, has plenty of time, throws to Kamara, and he's going to be quickly tackled by Sean Murphy-Bunting and Devin White, but he'll gain 7 yards. So 3rd and 6 is coming up now for the Saints. So they get into a manageable 3rd down situation from their own 36-yard line.
Yeah, but 3rd and 6 still should be plenty good for the defense. And let's see again, the Bucs, do they stay passive? I like the idea of not getting too aggressive because again, I don't trust Taysom Hill to consistently move the chains all the way down the field.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to defend him all game because of how unique he is. Here's Hill's back to pass on 3rd and 6. Tons of time to throw. He's going to go deep down the field, and he drops one in beautifully to Callaway, who beat Sean Murphy-Bunting all the way down to the Bucs 20. So Taysom Hill with a great throw there. He was mentioned at 1 of 7 on 20-plus air yard throws this season. Not surprising to see Sean Murphy-Bunting beaten even by Marquez Callaway in that situation, and the Saints have themselves an explosive play.
And there, John, they're only rushing 4 and they're still getting beat in coverage. Like, that's what you can't have. You can't give up those explosives because, like you said, they haven't even, this is like a weak point for the Saints, right? So especially when you're not even compromised in terms of how many guys you're dropping, there's no excuse to be getting gashed like that down the field.
Yeah, one of the hardest things about the Dean injury isn't so much missing Dean. It's that Murphy-Bunting has to play every snap, and what a liability he's been when he's been out there for the Bucs. As Kamara carries around the left side and gets 5 yards. So it's going to be 2nd and 5 for the Saints from the 19-yard line of the Bucs, and the playbook is going to be open to them here as the clock winds 6:47 and counting left in the first quarter. Scoreless game, 0-0.
Tough starts already for the defense. And
yeah,
that one, it looked like some like man coverage with a single high safety. It looked a bit funky, hard to tell, but just getting outrun.
It's hard because that's exactly the situation you want the Saints to be in, as Levante David knifes through and is going to drop Kamara or Ingram, for a loss of 2 yards on that play. So 3rd and 7 coming up for the Saints offense as David gets the stop. But if you're Bulls, that's what you want. You want Taysom Hill to have to throw those balls down the field. You against your DBs with these receivers, you freaking need Sean Murphy-Bunting to not be horrible. Like, that's what you need. Like, you need your 2nd round cornerback to play football at a higher level against, C-level wide receivers. You need that, and he didn't get it there. So here's Taysom Hill on 3rd and 7, back to pass from the shotgun, throwing quickly at the sticks. And Carlton Davis, what a great break on the ball. And he knocks it down, and it's 4th and 7 for the Saints, and their field goal unit will come out now. What a great break on the ball.
I've yet to notice a blitz here, John, which would be the longest that I can remember the Bucs defense going to start a game without one, without any sort of 5-man rush. And look, it's so far, it's kind of worked, right? They're going to give up a field goal here, but again, Bulls is betting that Hill just consistently won't be able to beat them when he's getting in 3rd downs all the time. It's just going to be about not getting gashed, and kind of gambled a little bit that time by spinning that safety down, maybe. But honestly, you can live with that. You take that matchup again, and you expect the Bucs to win that more often than not.
Yeah, Maher's field goal is good, and so the score is 3-0 now with 5:44 left in the first quarter. Brady and the offense for the Bucs are going to get their second chance to get out there at home, trying to improve this season to 11-3 and to win the NFC South tonight against the New Orleans Saints, what has been their nemesis. They beat them in the playoffs, so people thought it was maybe behind them. But when you go out and you lose to Trevor Siemian in the regular season this past earlier this year in week 8, it leaves a real bad taste in your mouth. And so far, the Bucs have, it's been a shaky start a little bit. And so we'll see if they can settle in offensively. We know about the talent discrepancy, but in this game that sometimes seems to get thrown out the window a little bit because there's a lot of emotions involved as well. And Hill with the dime there, if he can throw like that all night, Bulls is betting that he won't. And his history shows us that he won't, but sometimes when the magic's flowing and the corners aren't very good on the other side, then that kind of stuff will happen.
I think it's time to relax. It's going to be okay. Long game to go. I still trust that this offense is going to get it together. It's not like they got schooled on the first drive. And the defense, all things considered, like, you're going to give up a play here and there. You just can't go the whole game. And schematically, I think what we're seeing so far is pretty sensible. We're seeing a decent rush, I don't think there's anything so far that's like, oh no, like the Saints are just schooling these guys. It's just kind of that one play.
Yeah.
I do think we've seen this before from the offense, John, where they come out throwing the ball a bunch on the first drive, they go no huddle, and then it feels like the chances of this first play here being a run is 100%. And they kind of get back to
100%.
Yeah. They kind of just go back to, their normal offense, which is fine. The one thing that they've really changed as the season has gone on, John, they've become way more of a shotgun team. I haven't looked up the numbers, but just from watching the tape at the beginning of the season, against Atlanta, for instance, in week 2, very much an under center team, tons of play action. And that's a big part of why their play action has plummeted too. They use play action at pretty normal rates when they're under center, but when they're in shotgun, they're at the bottom of the league, and they are in shotgun a lot. Now, it has had benefits, but that's been kind of one knock on it so far.
Yeah, no question about it. And on the other side of things, you have a Saints team that's going play action with Taysom Hill about almost 40% of the time on his dropbacks. So they're doing a lot
Really?
of it. Yeah. So, yeah, he's at 38.9%, I think, this season.
Oh my God.
Now, obviously, Taysom Hill's only had like 70 some dropbacks. So,
But that would probably be the highest percentage of any quarterback in the league.
yeah, I mean, Jameis was using it a lot too when he was in there. So both of those guys are going to be up near the top. And it's funny because Breeze hardly used it at all. He was at the bottom of the league. You know, he and Brady and Ben were from the Steelers were at the bottom of the league. So yeah, it's an interesting mixture for
and
sure.
It was interesting because with Breeze, it was because they wanted to go quick game spread and stuff like that.
Yep.
With Brady, it's really interesting because they are very much like schematically, they are an offense that uses play action type concepts with these shots, but they just do it out of a straight drop back. And hey, Brady, just read 5 guys out instead of putting max protection and making you read 3 with a 7-step play action drop.
Right.
So it's a hard offense, but they are excelling, obviously, as the numbers show.
Right. Jalen Darden only got to the 17-yard line. No one's surprised by that. He's probably the least popular player on the Bucs team to the chat, I think, as a returner. He had to take that one out, though. It was right at the 1 goal line area. So we'll see what happens here. First down, Brady is going under center. Again, 3 receivers out there. Gronkowski is the tight end. He motions into the backfield in front of Fournette. And so Brady is going to go play action actually on the first play. 4-man rush. Onyemata breaks through. Brady throws to Godwin, who drops it. Contested catch, but Godwin had it in his hands there, and it's going to be 2nd and 10 for the Bucs offense.
Yeah, he's got to come down with that. That hit him squarely in both hands. It's a good throw, and curious to see what the concept is here. Again, the Saints are in single high, so the Bucs got these 2 crossers coming across the field, cutting across the free safety's face. That's the right concept that you want off of play action here. And Godwin just not able to come down with it. Not much else to say.
Yeah, Brady got the throw off. Onyemata beat Alex Kappa on that play. Brady got the throw off and placed it perfectly, but not in time as Fournette motions out. So Brady's going to go empty on 2nd and 10. Still no runs for the Bucs. Here's Brady looking deep down the field. He's got Chris Godwin there for a big gain, and Godwin is knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line of the Bucs. Brady dropped that one in for a gain of 23 yards.
And just dropping that in the bucket perfectly, John, kind of that whole shot area. And the Bucs, they faked the smoke screen. The Saints, they scored a touchdown with this same play against the Bucs last year in that 38-3 game. Breeze faked the screen to his right and just dropped it into the back of the end zone. Now the Bucs hitting them back with it.
Right. Here's Brady back to pass again. Cam Jordan beat Tristan Wirfs, but Godwin makes the catch over the middle of the field for a gain of 5. Don't see Wirfs lose very often, but looked like Jordan got the better of him on that rep, but Brady got the pass off. And so 2nd and 5 now for the Bucs. They're working from their 45-yard line here.
No lost trust between Brady and Godwin, huh?
Yeah, they're definitely targeting him a lot early in this game, obviously, as Brady drops back to pass on 2nd and 5, pats the ball, surveys, pressure breaking through, and he throws incomplete at the feet of Tyler Johnson there. So 3rd and 5 will come up for the Bucs offense. Their third and 5 of the game. All 3 of their third downs have been 3rd and 5 so far.
Would love to see them treat this as a 2-down situation here, John, around midfield with only 5 to go. If you can, just gain a couple and know right away what you're going to do on 4th. I think that's how a lot of teams approach it, and it gives you a big advantage. And by the way, Scotty Miller is out there, so and he looks like he's going to line up on the outside. So if the Saints go to that single high, look for the Bucs to take a shot.
Yeah, could be, as Brady's right now in the shotgun.
He's looking that way.
Back to pass. Cam Jordan rushing inside, beat Alex Kappa cleanly and gets Brady for the sack. That was as fast as the Bucs offensive line has lost a rep in weeks, it feels like. Cam Jordan on the inside, and it's clear already. They've isolated Alex Kappa. They are going after him right now. That was no contest. Jordan beat him in an instant. In
an offensive line with all strong players, he is the weak link, and not necessarily by being a bad player. He's a good player, but that is the one that you're going to target if you have to target somebody, John.
Yeah. So the Bucs obviously will punt now, 4th and 12, and for the second time they stall out around their own 40 on offense as Pinion sends this one down to his own 9-yard line. Going to be fielded there, and Bucs miss a tackle, 2 tackles on the return, and they're going to allow a long punt return, which the special teams doing what they do, a 34-yard punt return. So field position gets flipped there, and the Saints are going to be out to their own 43-yard line on that punt return by Aesop Winston.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, again, that's another drive where you see some good things, and you just have no chance when you get pressured like that.
Yeah.
not necessarily anything to complain about schematically with Byron or with Brady even.
Right. Yeah, it's true that, you want to criticize Byron and Brady first, usually when the offense struggles, but I think actually both of them have been fine to start this one. It's player execution that hasn't been there, whether it's the poor route by Tyler Johnson or poor ability to get off press coverage on the first drive, or, Fournette's got to beat a defensive end when he drops down coverage with you. You got to beat that guy, and you got to get the first down, in those situations. Or, you go back to that last play and a guard just gets beat. Players got to be better, and ordinarily Bucs talent level on offense, they usually are, but has not happened so far in this one. So, Mitch has got to establish the run. They haven't run the ball once in this game so far. Again, I don't see that as a huge issue. They just need to execute better in the passing game. But really, it goes to this too. I mean, the whole team can't tackle. If you can't tackle, it's killed you on the special teams. It's killed you on the other side of the ball. Tackling, you got to be able to tackle tonight. It's got to be. It's like the most important thing defensively, special teams wise.
And I go back to that 2nd and 5 as well, John. Just on this last drive here. Man coverage across the board, it looks like, from the Saints, and nobody winning their matchup. And then Tyler Johnson sitting down over the middle when he has a man right on him as if it's a zone. He's got to keep moving there. He's not open either way realistically, but you can't just sit down there and then Brady just throws it at his feet. But that's the thing. The Saints, they have the talent. They actually dare to play one-on-one coverage against the Bucs, and they have the talent to get away with it to an extent. It's if you have AB in these situations, that's when it really sets you over the top, right? Obviously, they're missing him this time, and he got hurt early on last time. But yeah, just a rough start. Like, if guys aren't going to be able to win one-on-one, and if they're going to sit down against man coverage, then, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. And again, what are you supposed to, what's Byron or Brady supposed to do there, right?
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to players in a game like this. It really does. Like, you cannot lose to a team that's this much worse than you talent-wise. That's where it gets ridiculous. You can't do this. If you're the players, you got to make better plays. Like, Sean Murphy-Bunting can't be giving up those deep balls, and say the other guys can't be missing tackles underneath, can't be missing sacks, and you can't be missing tackles on special teams. You give the Saints an opportunity now to start from their own 43-yard line. That's how you lose a game to the Saints. It's how you lose a game to a team that's this much worse than you in terms of talent, making those kind of mistakes. Basic pass protection mistakes too. That's where it just gets maddening to watch this unfold, because the Bucs have the talent to go out and dominate this game. They're not off schematically in terms of being able to do it. They just can't execute because good players aren't playing well enough. And that can't be the case when this matchup happens. As Hill starts from 1st and 10 from his own 43-yard line. Saints aren't that far out of field goal range already. Hands off first play to Ingram, who's going to be wrestled down by Sean Murphy-Bunting there. Traquan Smith, I think, tried to crack Jordan Whitehead and got lit up. I think I want to see that play again, because I think he got absolutely toasted.
And so far, John, I maintain that both units, they've played well enough for me I don't think I'm anywhere near the point where it's like, oh no, why are they not beating this weaker team yet? I still think from what I've seen so far that they're going to get it together and still be able to win this one cleanly.
Well, we'll see. Taysom Hill from the shotgun on 2nd and 9, back to pass. Joe Trine-Schrenkel wins inside, and he can't get there in time, and Hill completes that underneath to Kamara. He's dumped by Whitehead and Devin White, but he's going to pick up 6, so it's 3rd and 3 from the 50-yard line for the Saints.
A good job there not to let him break through, and Levante David coming in there to make sure they get him down cleanly, and JTS almost getting there. So it's just these little things where JTS, for instance, he wins that one there, and if he wins again later, maybe it turns into a sack, and a sack can effectively end a drive. So you're not seeing the Saints dominate or anything like that. It's just like the field position stuff, that sort of stuff, where they just get a cheap field goal position.
There's Hill back to pass, pressure again coming. He steps up in the pocket and finds Callaway for the first down. Devin White gets him down, but again, the hole in the zone, and he's just taking what's there. It's easy stuff underneath. It's 6-7 yard gains every time, and they're able to move the ball now to the Tampa Bay 43-yard line, and it's 1st and 10.
And I think this is a perfectly fine way to play defense, but it makes a huge difference if you were able to make them start their drive from the 20 compared to the 40. Whereas I don't think Hill can put together 8 first downs, but he can put together 3 and get them in at least field goal range again.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. That's especially with the Bucs defense, they've been kind of giving up something all season long. As Hill gets outside here on this running play, designed run, how in the world do you let him outside? And maybe it was a hold that ended up making it happen, because it looked like Jordan Whitehead had him out there and then got turned by the block. And we'll see what the call is here. It is going to be holding against the Saints. Looked like a good call live. It'll back the Saints up to their own 47.
And so far, based on what we have seen, I don't want to see the Bucs make any big changes yet schematically on either side of the ball.
No.
Like defensively, I think the strategy makes a lot of sense to not blitz, to play.
Mhm.
We've come in here a ton of games this season, John, where we've criticized the Bucs for their soft coverages and sitting back in zone, but not today. This is the day to do it. And I give them credit so far. The fact that they're not even blitzing, this is completely against their defensive identity of all season.
Yeah. 1st and 20. Big opportunity for the Bucs defense. Got to be able to get off the field in these situations. Hill goes play action, pressure in his face, throws down the field, and it's going to be a leaping grab all by himself for Marquez Callaway there as Murphy Bunting looked like he was beaten again on the play. It's a 33-yard gain, and Hill, who was 1 for 7 on 20-plus air yard throws going into this game, now has completed 2 for 2, both to Marquez Callaway. And this one actually was Carlton Davis looked like he was beaten on this play.
Yeah, Bucs playing cover 3, Carlton Davis, and you're supposed to have that post safety. You're hitting a post against a cover 3 when that post safety is right there, and you're seeing the difference of missing a free safety because that throw should never be there against that coverage. Just lofting it up in the middle like that.
Right, they use that crosser to get the safety to jump, and the Bucs want the safety to jump. What has to happen is SMB has to come over and replace in the middle of the field. And it's a replacement basically, and he just failed to recognize the route. So it's on Davis, but also on SMB. His throw goes over the middle of the field. Kamara drops it, and it's going to be incomplete. But yeah, that's a kind of a complicated coverage where that safety's driving down on the crosser, and then SMB's got to come over and replace in the middle of the field there. And Hill just totally underthrew it and just threw it up. But because he underthrew it so much, it made it harder for both of them because they were going to landmarks, and it just wasn't where the ball was.
And that is a complicated coverage, John. And we saw them do it before and get burned for a touchdown a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember against who, but that same thing happened where it was post crosser. That's that classic combination. Crosser on one side, deep post on the other. Safety bites down on the crosser, post wide open.
Yeah, for sure. Here's Hill back to pass again on 2nd and 10. Pressure coming. He floats one and incomplete. That one was well out of bounds for Kamara, and it's going to be 3rd and 10 for the Saints offense from the Bucs 20-yard line.
But I wonder if there's a way to handle that, John, that maybe if you don't get the safety to bite down and don't ask your guys to replace, if you can maybe simplify it right now when you are playing with so many backups in there. I mean, I'm not saying definitively that they should do that. I don't pretend to know enough about these intricacies. I mean, it might not necessarily be harder, but I wonder if we do see adjustments in that regard just based on guys that are playing that aren't usually starters.
Yeah, could be. No question. It's hard to scheme up when you're playing single high in those situations. The Buck safety's communicating late here. Hill throws and Whitehead makes a big stick a couple yards short of the first down, but Hill got a gain of 8. Buck safeties were definitely confused on that play. It's going to be 4th and 2 coming up here. Will the Saints go from this situation from the Bucs 12-yard line? Big decision time. They'll probably take it down to the end of the quarter before Dennis Allen, acting head coach for today with Sean Payton out with COVID, gets to make the decision here on 4th and 2.
That was a huge hit, and I hope they kick it because they probably should go for it. So
completely agree with you. I bet the analytics would probably say to go for it. And in this situation, if you're the Saints, I don't know what you have to lose. You should go for it in these spots. I think there's no question about that. So horrible first quarter for the Bucs. But considering the opponent, I'm not sure how much worse it could have been. I guess you could have turned the ball over and things like that. But you give up explosive plays to the Saints in this one. You've got absolutely no chance whatsoever. That's the one thing you have to count on not being there. And now they've given it up twice. So not the star you want at all if you're the Bucs defense, pretty much in every facet of this thing. It's not being able to get to Hill and get him on the ground. Pressure has been fine. Hill has been unrattled by it, which is again shocking. There's just been a lot of things like from Taysom Hill that we just haven't seen in any other game this year. So to your point that I know you're going to make probably is that the regression is probably coming from even within this game. But it feels like this has happened for the Bucs before. You see Trevor Siemian do things against the Bucs, other quarterbacks, or he hasn't done against other teams. You see same thing with Jalen Hurts late in that game. Jacoby Brissett, obviously. We talk about Taylor Heineke all the time, and both times he's played the Bucs. It just kind of seems like this is how it goes sometimes for the Bucs defense.
Yeah, I wrote it in my predictions that it seems like the Bucs defense makes the opponent irrelevant. They can make Mahomes look like Heineke. They can make Heineke look like Mahomes, right? So it's unfortunately it's usually the Heinekes that look like the Mahomes more often than the other way around. But yeah, and I just don't know. Like when I look at the way the Saints have had success so far in this game, it still just doesn't feel sustainable. I'm just not sold yet, right? They've got a couple of big plays through the air. Like that one with the big post over the middle should never happen. It's an underthrown ball. Of course, not to mention the great field position off of a punt. Now, is that to say that we shouldn't kind of expect these things from the Bucs? Well, maybe that's an argument because they do seem to give up these type of things more often than they should. But it's not as if the Saints are just tearing off 10 yards every play and just marching down the field. It's more like they're limping down and the Bucs are helping them limp.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. I mean, Taysom Hill's only going over 200 yards once in a game this season. He hardly has it all as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's had games this year where, just to give an example, he's, barely throwing the ball at all, 175 yards. They basically tried to win by neutering him. And here he is in the first quarter throwing for 118 and getting 2 chunk plays against the Bucs defense. So, they are blowing the Bucs out in terms of total yardage so far, but this is a big one because the score is what matters. And it's a 4th and 2 now here for the Saints offensively from the Bucs 12-yard line, trying to get the Bucs to jump, which they've done a lot of this season. And Bucs are not biting.
And Shaq is known to jump these situations a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they don't bite.
And they don't jump. And so the Saints, are they going to take the flag here?
I think so.
No timeout. Going to move it back 5
yards. No, they do. Yeah, they take the flag. Never mind. Yeah.
Okay. So they'll get the delay game, and so it'll be 4th and 7 now. And the Saints will kick this one, and it'll be a 34-yarder?
I don't get that decision, especially when you have a quarterback like Hill. That's the situation in which you have an advantage with a guy like that, right? Where you can just call a QB power like they've done earlier today, and you have the advantages in the run game because you have that extra blocker, basically.
Right.
So
it was not a long 2 either.
No.
So
and realistic, I know teams don't think this way, but realistically, they're an underdog. They need to be the ones that are pushing the variance and pushing any little edge they can get.
Right. You're right. It's very important for teams to go into games recognizing that. I think those numbers exist for a reason. Like, you're the underdog for a reason. Bucs are favored by 11.5 points in this game, I think, for a reason. Like, those things aren't just, especially at this point in the season. Like, you've got to be able to take advantage of situations that are basically in your advantage already in those 4th and short situations. So I agree with you. Probably shouldn't have gone for it. And maybe Bucs defense lucks out a little bit there that they didn't, but they do get the field goal. So the Saints are leading 6-0. And let me change that banner here to say the second quarter. So it's not where the Bucs want it to be. It certainly doesn't hurt them that much given how they like to play. It's not like they're out of it by any stretch of the imagination or anything like that, but it's certainly an advantage they did not want to give. They did not want to spot a Taysom Hill-led team 6 points in this game.
And just going back to the conversation about knowing that you're an underdog, I think coaches have some intuitive sense of this. And we see it in things when they say, like, we want to slow the game down and reduce the number of possessions, right? When they're talking about keeping the quarterback off the field, the other quarterback, that's not an actual substitute for defense, like, because the points per drive could be the same. And that's not a substitute for defense in any way. But what they're saying is if there are fewer possessions in a game, then that's higher variance and more likely that the underdog's going to win. Whereas if you're the better team, you should want as many possessions as possible, increase the sample size because the better team's going to win more often when there are more possessions. Right. So maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but it does seem like some coaches at least have that understanding intuitively to some element, but then they don't always take that next step where they say, hey, maybe we need to push these 4th down edges and that sort of thing. But at the same time, the league certainly is trending that way. They've gotten way more aggressive in the last few years than they were before.
Yeah, they have gotten more aggressive. And so more coaches are kind of accepting some of those variables that are true. But here's the Bucs with a 1st and 10 from their own 25 after the kickoff goes out the back of the end zone. And we'll see if they do call their first run of the game here as Brady is under center. And he does hand off to Ronald Jones, who runs around the left side, and he's going to be taken down by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So I mentioned had space there. He only gets 3 yards, though. And we talked about it. The Saints defend very well with multiple defensive backs on the field. It's not a weakness for them to play against the run from those personnel packages.
Yeah, if you're playing 12, they're not scared to play nickel, and if you're playing 11, they're not scared to play dime. They're confident that their guys can get up there and tackle. And it's interesting, by the way, Bucs going to Rojo here again.
Yep, for sure. Here's Brady back to pass on 2nd and 7. Throws, has Chris Godwin first down as he gets 8 yards and crosses the line to gain. And so it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bucs from their own 36-yard line.
It's hard to tell, John. We can't see that much, but it does look like the Saints are again coming out challenging with a lot of man coverage, as they've done in basically every single game against the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
That one might have actually been a zone there, but they do match. They play very tight, so often they can look similar.
Right.
Either way, they're getting up there and challenging the receivers.
Yeah, definitely looks similar at times. No question about it. Here's Brady from the shotgun. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Roach over the middle of the field to Gronkowski, who drops it. First down, had it, dropped the ball, 2nd and 10 now. And so the Bucs receivers just not making, from Chris Godwin dropping the ball to Rob Gronkowski dropping the ball to Leonard Fournette not being able to beat a defensive end for the first down to Tyler Johnson's first route of the game. They have just not showed up for this game so far.
Yeah, and you got that pop pass again with that guard pulling and Gronk just in the seam over the middle. This is that play that they talked about on NFL 100. The Patriots ran it a ton. The Bucs have run it a ton. And by the way, an interesting wrinkle, though, you don't see Gronk flexed too often in that Y spot. He's so often attached, but they flex him out there.
Yeah, I mean, here's a quick throw out to Chris Godwin, who's going to get maybe a yard. So it's going to be 3rd and 9 for the Bucs from their own 37. They're trying to get those screens going, but it's going to be just again, you're not going to find many more teams more physical out on the perimeter than the Saints are defensively. It's just a different story trying to throw those against them. That's why I love the call to get the slip screen and throw it deep to Godwin on the bluff on the last drive. I thought it was a great call. But if you try and throw those out there all game, it's not going to be there like it is against other teams.
Exactly, because they're not playing off. They're not playing soft. They're up there challenging you, so you're not going to have that space to get the yards after catch.
Yeah. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is hurt here for the Saints. So obviously Chris Godwin tore him up last time that these two teams met. He's been injured since then, and he does jog off the field here. He says to Quan Alexander that it points to his neck. So it appears that is the injury. But 3rd and 9, it feels like a big 3rd and 9 for the Bucs here. Down 6-0 with 13-10 and counting left in the second quarter, working from their own 37-yard line here. Brady takes the snap. Saints are sending 5, and Demario Davis wins, and Chris Godwin catches the ball over the middle, and he's going to be hurt. He was hit low and short of the first down by P.J. Williams, and he is down on the ground injured. So a first half from hell continues for the Bucs as Godwin's down, and it's 4th and 4.
And his knee looked that.
Yeah, that looks like a serious knee injury for Chris Godwin.
And
either hyperextended or could be worse, obviously. PJ Williams with the big hit. 4th and 4 for the Bucs in their own 42. Yeah, for sure it would be. So again, this is the Bucs, man. This is the team that they are. They are just all over the place. They are as inconsistent as can be. It's frustrating to watch. It should have been a new set of downs on first down to Gronkowski. It's not. We mentioned how bad Gronkowski has played against the Saints. That's continued early on in this one. This should be a game that they win going away. And here we are, 6-0, and they're about to get the ball back to the Saints in the second quarter with a couple minutes expired. And Godwin down there, and that was a very low hit, but that's what happens when you got the target area is what it is in today's NFL. That's why players always say, I'd rather you go high or go in my chest and things like that, go in my head than I would the lower bodies. For Chris Godwin, that looks like a pretty nasty one.
Yeah, just so brutal. And Godwin is such a key in this matchup, and he was in the last one, because when the Saints, if they want to play those two high man coverages, 2-man, they're giving up one-on-one options over the middle, underneath quick. And that's where Godwin burned the Saints over and over again last time. And they're not going to get those same type of wins from Tyler Johnson. And even Mike Evans, they're unlikely to play too high if Mike Evans, in my opinion, if Mike Evans is on the inside and then, you just have guys like Tyler outside. But even if they are, Mike Evans isn't that same receiver with those type of routes, with those whips and jukes and, hesitation moves that Godwin is. That's not really Evans's strongest suit. So it changes just from an X's and O standpoint. It's huge what it changes for the Bucs, even in the pass game. That's not even talking about the run game, obviously.
Yeah, Godwin did apparently, just looking at Twitter and people that were at the game, he walked off on his own power. So that's a good sign. At least went right to the tent. And so he'll be assessed, obviously. And man, that looked that looked bad enough to believe that there's going to be some swelling there. I can't imagine that he come back to this game. So now the Bucs have to try and do it without Godwin, without AB, with whatever Gronk is doing right now. And Mike Evans going to get even more attention than usual. Godwin is limping a little bit as he walks off.
Yeah, I would say more than a little bit.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's only going to probably get worse. Hard to see him coming back,
in this one, at least. We'll see
Yeah.
Beyond that. But as he gets on the table there for them to examine him, the Bucs are going to punt on 4th and 4. And again, it just hasn't really been there in this one for them. And we'll see if Pinion can flip things with a good punt here. And he is going to send this one down to the 10-yard line. So fair caught there. Good job by Delaney and Keyshawn Vaughn getting down there as the Gunners. They beat the Vices pretty easily there. And so the Saints will take over at their own 10-yard line. I'm not getting to the point where I'm saying defense got to make a play, but they can't allow a huge drive. Obviously, you got to maintain field position here. That goes without saying. But Bucs offense ball, they've moved the ball a little bit, but they can't sustain anything. And a lot of it's just player execution. I know people are going to just go after play callers right off the bat, but players got to execute, man. There's been enough stuff there. This is not going to be easy against the Saints defense. We knew that, but players got to execute what's there, and that just hasn't happened in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, like you said, the big SMB mistake where he's getting burned and then, that switch over on the post, like it's not, you can't really so far blame the coaches for this one whatsoever. It's just players making mistakes. SMB on defense, Gronk on offense, Godwin with the drop, unfortunately, and that sort of thing.
Right. Yep. It's just been a couple of drops and guys not being able to beat guys one-on-one that they should beat, frankly. And so here's the hit on Godwin one more time. And I mean, that's clearly hyperextension, and you just hope that it's nothing worse than that, a la the Evans injury from last year. But that certainly looked pretty ugly as Hills goes play action from the shotgun back to pass. And can they get him on the ground? Yes, they finally do. Levante David's going to get the sack there of about a 1 or 2 yard loss. So after they stuff Ingram on first down, Levante gets Taysom Hill down. It's going to be 3rd and 11 here from the Saints from their own 10-yard line or 9-yard line-ish, somewhere like that.
And field position being huge here, right? It's going to take
It's going
to take a lot for the Saints to get down the field, and if they're forced to punt here, the Bucs offense will get the ball back with pretty good position. Mm-hmm. You just can't have those big mistakes on special teams that let the Saints start drives from the 40.
Right. Yep. That's the key. Is Hill goes from the shotgun on 3rd and 10. They're going to call it. He throws quickly out to Kamara, who drops it, and that wasn't going to get anywhere anyway. Murphy bunting at him, wrapped up and swung him down, beat the block by Juwan Johnson. And on 4th and 11, the Saints will punt it away, and the Bucs are going to have an opportunity, unless there's an amazing punt here, you would think, to have good field position here if they can, with the Saints punting from their 10.
And look at that, SMB reading that play the whole way, fighting through traffic because the receivers are pass blocking there right away or blocking for the screen, and SMB just gets around it because he reads it quickly and he's in position to make the tackle. He could have easily just gotten swept up by a block there, but smart play by him.
Yep. Man, here's the punt. And it's going to be a booming one. Darden fields at his own 32. Let's see what he can do with it. Crosses his 40 and going to go down pretty quickly. Gets out to about the 43, it looks like. So it's going to be good field position, just not quite as good as it could be. This has actually been the area of the field where the Bucs have just totally sucked in this game ball. They just haven't been able to inside their own 40. They get to there and then everything just seems to go, or actually inside their own 35 or outside, I should say, their own 35 is where they've really kind of struggled so far in this game after some fine starts to their drives. Things have really bogged down in that area of the field pretty quickly. What's the story here? Are you fine with the fact that they have barely run the football in this one? I think one rush attempt for Rojo. What's the solution?
Yeah, I was
just execution.
I was just thinking about that. They're in a kind of a tricky spot because the Saints do this every time, right? They play light and then they dare the Bucs to run. And then the problem is when the Bucs have run, even in that playoff game, it wasn't successful. It was of high volume, but it was inefficient and it didn't really work. And they got themselves in all sorts of tricky 3rd down situations. So now the Bucs seem like they're going the other way, but it's hard when the defense is playing the pass so heavily. It's just kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because the Bucs haven't been able to run historically against even these pass heavy looks. And then the other thing is they haven't really had good passes on first down. If they can, get those small chunk gains on first down, I would love to see them pound the rock on 2nd and medium, 2nd and short. But they just haven't been in those situations, right? Because you're constantly in 2nd and long and that sort of thing, just not able to execute on early downs. So, yeah, I think the run game is going to be a part of the game today for sure. I'm not worried at all by this plan. It's just difficult to pass it a lot against this type of defense. And if you can't run against it either, then you might as well just pass it anyway, because you're not going to be able to run them out of these looks. No matter what you do on the ground, the Saints aren't going to change what they're doing.
Right. I'd be more concerned if it wasn't there. I mean, like Brady's 10 of 14 in this game. Guys have to make some plays after the catch. I think, there's obviously been a couple drops. Those things have to change. If you're going to be a team that gets gets down the field in little chunks because of how teams are playing you, then you need to make all those plays, right? Those little, those 11 yards to Gronk there. The other play to Godwin was even a bigger gain. Those plays pretty much just have to be made. Like otherwise you're going to bog down, because if you get into 3rd and long against the Saints, they're way harder to convert against than other teams are. So I think that's where it becomes critical to not beat yourself and not make those kind of mistakes. And the Bucs just haven't been able to do that. They've really done those things. Now I reserve the right to change the mind if it becomes more about the concepts and less about the execution. But I think so far it's been mostly about the execution.
Yeah, and like you said, like 10 of 14, it's not as if the passing game has been bad. They've been pretty good. It's just this is the reality against a good defense. They constantly put you in difficult high leverage situations. And it's been 3 drives? Like, so what? You haven't scored. It's not as if there's nothing disastrous here.
Yeah.
And people are talking about needing to run to open up the pass, but they're not going to it's not going to open it up. That's the whole point. New Orleans is going to keep doing what they're doing no matter what.
Right. It will not change. I mean, the Bucs would have to just have absurd success to change what New Orleans is doing. Here's Fournette getting outside, and he's going to have a decent gain on first down. It looks like 6 yards. So 2nd and 4 for the Bucs from their own 49-yard line coming up here.
And that's what you need, right? So that's when I go back to the previous games against the Saints, I thought they've gone way too far the other way on first down where they're so run heavy. But both those times in the last 2 games, at least, I've said it, I understand why they're doing it. It makes sense. It's just they weren't able to execute in the run game well enough in those situations to punish the Saints. Now, if that changes, then that's a huge advantage.
Right. And here's Brady with the Saints loading the box, going to hand off to Fournette again, who spins away from a tackle, but is only going to get 2 yards before Cam Jordan knocks him down. So you're already back in 3rd down if you're the Bucs on offense. 3rd and 2 coming up here from the Saints 49-yard line.
Another squared shotgun stance handoff, John. I haven't gone back through the tape and charted it all yet, but I am going to.
Yeah, I look at those. You mean his stance being different in those different situations?
Yep.
Yeah, something to watch for sure. It's going to be 3rd and 2 coming up here. Been mostly small chunks for the Bucs. They've dropped 2 of their chances at bigger gains in this game. Did get the big one to Godwin, who's out of the game now with the knee injury. And here's Brady quickly to Fournette, who's got the first down to the Saints 44-yard line.
So Mike Evans not even out there on that 3rd down, unless I just didn't see him. But I don't think Mike Evans wasn't even out there.
Wasn't he?
No, it was Scotty, Tyler Johnson, Fournette, and Darden. Yeah, and Gronk.
Bold strategy.
Yeah.
Saints going low there too on Lenny. That was a low hit by Williams, and Lenny looks okay, but
Evans still not out there.
Yeah. Interesting. Brady goes play action. Davenport throws aside Donovan Smith. He throws, and Cam Brate tried to make a sliding catch on 1st and 10, and it looked like it went through Brate's hands. That was a pretty well-placed throw. It wouldn't have been an easy catch, but that looked pretty well-placed to me, didn't it to you, Paul?
It did. Against that tight coverage, there's not a big window to throw it there, so he's trying to throw it low, make sure nobody gets it other than his guy, and Brate's got to be able to finish those, right? That's kind of the difference between that top receiver, especially a guy who's not going to necessarily create huge separation and just win off the line against smaller players all the time.
Yeah. See if Mike Evans is out here on this snap. No, I didn't see him. So it's Cam Brate, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, and Jalen Darden out on the field right now. Brady throws quick to Cam Brate for 6 yards, and 3rd and 4 from the Saints 38 coming up here. I don't know. Is anybody listening? Have they said anything about Evans on the broadcast? I can't imagine he just gets 3 or 4 plays off in a row in this situation in the game.
He's out there now. He's back.
Wow. Okay. So Evans is back out there on 3rd.
That is really weird though.
So Darden will come off, I would think here, but the Bucs definitely depleted at receiver now. Here's Brady on 3rd and 4. Saints rush 3. Brady throws over the middle of the field. Evans with a leaping grab, snagged it, and he gets down to the Saints 24-yard line with a 14-yard catch on 3rd and 4. So Evans is back out there after giving us a scare.
And this is the other thing the Saints are going to do so much on 3rd and short. Every team has done it against the Bucs. They send 3. The Saints specifically, they did this last time as well. They're playing single high, so they got everyone manned up, but then they're using 2 buzz defenders underneath, and it's clogging everything up over the middle and short. It's making it so hard. So that's why, that's a tough catch and completion over the middle that they got it done anyway, but you would love to see Scotty tear off a run on the outside because he's one-on-one.
Yeah, now Evans is to the sideline, and he's kind of rolling his neck and doesn't look well. So, now it's a handoff to Leonard Fournette here on 1st and 10. Fournette tries to run hard and picks up 3 or 4, but it's going to be 2nd and 6 or 7 coming up here for the Bucs offense. Again, Bucs without Antonio Brown, obviously, without Rashad Perryman due to COVID. Brown serving the last game of his suspension. Godwin hurt in this game.
Oh, Godwin running around on the sideline.
He is running around on the sideline. They need to take that man and get him looked at for some testing. This is crazy.
Yeah, his health is bigger than this game.
Yeah, no question about it. And it is on 2nd and 7, Darden, Miller, Tyler Johnson, and Fournette out there, along with Gronkowski. Brady over the middle of the field to Gronkowski. Quan Alexander there in coverage.
That's a lot of contact. That's a lot of contact.
Yeah, Brady was trying to get the call there. He knew it wasn't much chance of being completed. And it's 3rd and 7 for the Bucs.
Arians is livid.
Oh, he's pissed.
The Bucs or the Saints do play very physical defense, and they definitely cross the line a few snaps here and there every game, and they challenge the refs. Credit to them. They say, hey, throw the whistle. And Gronk just not able to create separation there on that jerk route over the middle, isolated from the number 3 spot, one-on-one. Yeah, Evans back out there on 3rd and 7.
Yeah, here's 3rd and 7. And Cam Jordan's going to bring down Brady. Beat Tristan Wirfs, tossed him aside, and nobody on the Bucs O-line playing well right now. Cam Jordan has 2 sacks in this game. Tristan Wirfs just gave up the 3rd sack of his career, the 2nd one this season to Cam Jordan.
And this is just the thing, right? The Saints make it so hard on you. They're this time dropping into a zone on 3rd down, mixing it up. But again, playing really well. Everything's closed up down the field. So they're just testing you over and over again. They're not going to just make it easy and let you gain anything easy. And I don't really feel like the Bucs have played overly poorly on offense. It's been a couple of mistakes for sure that shouldn't happen, right? With drops and that sort of thing. But oh no.
Yep. And Suckup missed the field goal. So they're going to get no points out of that great drive that they had to do mostly without Evans and Godwin. And they're going to get no points because Ryan Suckup missed a 48-yarder. So the Bucs stay down 6-0. And this has all the makings of the game everybody feared it would not be. 6:21 left in the second quarter. Saints lead 6-0. Suckup misses the 48-yarder. Bucs trailing in this one. And it's the morale factor too, right? At this point, Paul, because you lose Godwin, you're moving the ball, but you can't get points out of the drive. Like all that stuff starts to frustrate teams. First game all season, really, the offensive line is not playing very well. The flip side, Brady seems fine. He's playing fine football.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him miss any throws really or do anything wrong so far in this game. He looks great, but everybody else around him is just failing him right now.
Yeah, and it only gets harder if Evans and Godwin aren't healthy. I mean, Godwin, it's a given, but with Evans and the limited number of snaps he's been playing, because usually he takes very few snaps off, even when they get into those heavy packages. So we'll see how this changes the game plan, because they're still spreading it out with guys like Darden and Tyler Johnson out there.
Yeah, I mean, Donovan Smith's been on the ground for multiple plays in this game. Wirfs, they're going to take it to him by people up front. Like Kappa's been beaten a couple times. They got to do a better job up front. It's just, we haven't said that all year about the Bucs offensive line. I just had this feeling once I wrote that column about them, this is totally my fault. There's just been a dominant season for them, and it has been, but they're just not playing like it in this first half. It's just been really bad stuff from them. It's not often you see quick wins, one-on-one against the Bucs offensive line. I mean, it's just a total aberration. So it's just a combination of things that the Bucs don't do against any other team that they do against the Saints and that they're doing in this game against the Saints. And defensively, they're just not that good. They're okay, but this is obviously a bottom tier offense. So, there was probably, you'd hope it wouldn't be a high scoring game by the Saints, but you can't go scoreless in the first half against the Saints. Like this is just, it's embarrassing so far.
Yeah. And I'm also kind of surprised a little bit by the approach where they want to spread it out and try to take advantage in terms of receivers when they don't necessarily have a huge advantage there, especially, I was going to say just with AB out, but let alone with Godwin out. I would think that against a team that wants to match light, you go the other way where you're saying, hey, if you're going to stay in nickel all day, we're going to play 12. We're going to play 2 tight ends out there. And obviously Gronk is always the one, and then you'll rotate the second one with Bray and OJ, and that'll give you an advantage in the run game, and that'll give you some big bodies on small bodies in the pass game with those 2 tight ends.
Yeah, and Suckup, he hasn't been bad this season, but he's missed 3 field goals, and he's only attempted like 19 or 20, I think, this season, something like that. And extra points, he's missed 3 as well. Obviously, attempted a lot of extra points. But man, it's frustrating because they need him to be awesome, and he just has not been awesome at all this season. As Taysom Hill carries for a gain of 9 yards on first down, pretty much untouched. They optioned off Anthony Nelson there, and that's going to work for them all game. If Anthony Nelson's in the game, they get a 2nd and 1 to their own 44. So they aren't that far away from field goal range here. And they obviously want to keep this clock moving, regardless of what happens on this drive. They like to leave the Bucs with as little time as they can. Bucs do get the ball coming out to start the third quarter.
Yeah, the field position has been a huge advantage for the Saints so far.
Yep. And it was for the Bucs, obviously, on the last drive. They took advantage of it, but then Suckup with the missed field goal as Kamara slips through for a gain of 2 yards on 2nd and 1. So a new set of downs for the Saints, and they'll keep that clock moving. 5:30 and counting left in the second quarter. Saints up 6-0.
Somebody's saying Evans is hurt and he's going to the locker room.
Oh, okay.
Seeing it in the chat.
Bucs are seriously screwed then. No Evans, no Godwin, no AB, no Brashad Perryman. So they would be without their top 4 wide receivers now against the Saints, one of the best secondaries in the NFL, maybe the best. And so huge disadvantage for the Bucs. We're going to see how much they can really scheme things up now as Hill goes under center and gives to Kamara, who runs into his own tight end there, Troutman, and is only going to get about 2 yards there. So 2nd and 8 coming up for the Saints from their own 48.
It's hard to win with scheme against teams that are just going to play a bunch of man. Sure, you run rub routes and that sort of thing and try to pick guys, but when the corners are good, they know how to switch it, go through it. And really, when you're scheming against man coverage, what you're trying to do is get a good matchup and positioning for your best players. But when you have a disadvantage across the board, it's really hard to win in that way.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things that like sometimes there's like these perfect storms in games, and that's what the Bucs seem to have right now. As Hill throws over the middle for a couple yards to Troutman, and he's thrown down by Devin White after a gain of 4. So 3rd and 4 from the Saints from the Bucs 48-yard line coming up here. Where you want to live at the Saints, right? This is right around midfield, 3rd and 4 situations. You just want these time-consuming, short yards to gain type of drives.
Yeah, totally agree.
And Troutman is coming off an injured reserve, I believe, in this game. So this is his first game back as Hill lines up for a 3rd and 4 from the shotgun. Ball's in Bucs territory just across midfield. Hill back to pass, throws behind his receiver, incomplete. Kamara looking for a flag. Sean Murphy bunting in coverage. Looked like Kamara might have had a step there, but
SMB making another crucial stop against Kamara on 3rd down. 2 straight drives where SMB is the guy matched up with Kamara, this time in a zone, I think.
Kamara was wide open.
But he was open. That was just a bad throw.
Yeah.
Just a horrible throw.
Yeah, Kamara's open by a couple yards there.
Yep. You're totally right.
Yeah, so Hill with a big miss there, and the Bucs are going to get the ball back. Here's a punt. This one looks like an ugly one. Or at least it looked like it coming off his foot, but it's going to take, Darden fielded that. That was not smart at all, and he doesn't get hardly any more yards out of it. What is your best case scenario there, buddy?
And that's why, John, Darden, with Hill missing, for instance, that easy throw, I think as long as you don't lose with explosives and as long as you're not just constantly giving up good field position, this is a good game plan defensively against this offense. Like, I like this approach where you're just saying, hey, beat us consistently underneath, because Hill is going to make a mistake, every few plays, and that's going to set them behind, on the chains. And it's if they're starting to get those explosives, which they haven't done all year with him, then you're really in trouble, because then there's nothing you can do.
And Evans is doubtful to return, so we are probably going to see the Bucs go the distance here with Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, and Jalen Darden at wide receiver. I don't think they have anybody else active for this game. Cam Brate will be out there. OJ Howard will probably see more of, but no AB, no Perriman because of COVID, no Chris Godwin injured, and Mike Evans injured in this game. Has Godwin already been ruled out? If anybody knows, drop in the chat if Godwin has officially been ruled out for this game. I'm assuming he is out, but So if they said doubtful or questionable or anything like that, I'm just curious what the initial diagnosis or word is, if anybody said anything. But yeah, I mean, this is hard because the Bucs offense is predicated upon having receivers. Like they need to have receivers because that's how this whole offense works, right, Paul? Like that's the scheme. Like everywhere Bruce Arians has ever been, right? Like every team, Pittsburgh, load up on him, everywhere. It's just, and now he's down his top 4. You can't do a lot about that,
It's about putting
a lot about
receivers.
Scotty and Tyler Johnson.
This offense is all about putting your receivers in space and letting them win their one-on-one matchups. Really, like if you're going to try to simplify it as much as you can, and it's no coincidence that it has been receiver heavy everywhere he's went. And now the Bucs, they're going to have to switch. I really think that they got to play a lot of 2 tight ends. They got to run the ball. Honestly, at this point, you have to have success with the run game. You have to actually go to it. And I don't mind their game plan at all of spreading it out when you came out with Evans and Godwin. But I think even me, like probably always the pass heaviest opinion that there is. But I think they got to be able to, run it some. Not necessarily just running it, going run heavy, but you can't just spread it out all day.
You can't, but also there's no way you're going to run it all over the Saints. Like you're just not. They're one of the best run defense in the league. They have been for years. They're deep up front. Their DBs defend the run. Like you're just not going to run down the Saints' throat all day. So here's Brady handing off to Fournette, and he's going to run over the right side.
And they do come out in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends there, Gronk and OJ Howard. They're going under center, only 2 wide receivers there. So immediately we are seeing that change.
Yeah, and when you lose these guys like this, your whole game plan's kind of got to change here some. And there's 3:18 on the clock here in this half. Obviously a crucial drive for the Bucs. You have a chance to go back to back here, not give the Saints any time, score some points, stay out of third down as much as you can. You get a good first down gain. Now be aggressive or hand off to Leonard Fournette, run over the right side, get 2 yards, get yourself in third down again. 3rd and 3 coming up for the Bucs offense from their own 25.
And even that one there, again, in 12 personnel, I'm really curious how much or how little we see 3 wide receivers out there again at a time.
Yeah, I am too, because they only have 3 left now. And we'll see it here for sure. Darden and Miller and Tyler Johnson are out there. Remember, Giovanni Bernard is not out here either. So it's he's also on injured reserve. So they're depleted at running back as well in terms of pass catching options. Leonard Fournette playing less than 100%. So here's Brady on a 3rd and 3, back to pass, 4-man rush, pressure breaks through, but Brady lost one beautifully for Gronkowski for a big gain, 19 yards out to the Bucs 44-yard line, and they convert the 3rd and 3. So he still got Gronk, and right now it's just Brady and Gronk basically there.
Yeah, winning on that corner route. Again, he is attached there, just one-on-one against the smaller corner, and he not just winning with size, John, he's actually beating him off the route there, creating separation, perfect timing with those guys.
Yeah, Bucs offensive line is getting worked right now, so that's a huge concern moving forward. Fournette carries, and he's not going to get anywhere. He loses a yard. It'll be 2nd and 11 for the Bucs from their 43. Bucs offensive line got to wake up. This is the worst that they've played since last season. They have been pretty much consistently dominant all year, but they are getting destroyed right now by the Saints up front. I know it's a good defensive line, but this can't continue as the 2-minute warning hits, and we'll get the stoppage in play that comes with it here. But man, this was the Bucs offensive line Brady is trying to survive it, but that's the other thing. Guys are not going to get open as fast without Evans and Godwin and those guys out there. So you're going to have Brady having to hold the ball a little bit longer than he normally does. And it's going to be a problem if this offensive line keeps playing as bad as they're playing right now.
Yeah, no doubt, especially when they are going to turn to the run more often, because the run game is all about the trenches. It's about winning as a line, which line is going to win. And so far it's been the D line, and just not giving them a chance. I mean, to be honest, not too bad in pass protection though so far, right? Unless I'm forgetting something. They gave up.
Brady's getting the ball out, but it's been ugly, man.
That's
There's
true.
Been dudes on the ground multiple times.
And there've been a couple of sacks. I actually already did that. Those slipped my mind. Yeah. So yeah, they have certainly lost in the pass game as well. So yeah, rough day so far.
Yeah, it's disappointing because that group's got to be the strength of the team right now. It really has to be because if they can't be, then the Bucs aren't going anywhere in this game on offense. They need to be able to give Brady time, and they also have to be able to run the football a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying you have to run for 150 yards in this game or even 120 yards in this game. You might have to. I hope you don't have to, but you've got to be better than this. Like, they're getting bullied out there right now, and that's just not something we've seen from this group at all.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so challenging how you scheme this up in the pass game now too. Like, And by the way, though, I did notice on the broadcast on the graphic, they said Evans doubtful, Godwin questionable. So Godwin is more likely to come back than Evans, which is crazy.
That man is not human if he comes back in this game, but I'm sure they're going to roll him out. He needs testing and he needs further look at it for sure. But it'll be a big 2nd and 11 for the Bucs coming back here with the 2-minute warning. Obviously, Bucs have 3 timeouts, but they pretty much got to be aggressive. And I know you don't want to do that with the receivers that they have, but right now you can't run the ball at all. And it's just going to be hard to rely on that in a 2-minute situation. Coming out of the third quarter, get yourself right. Okay. But right now you need Brady to go down and get you some points. Like, that's what you need.
And so far, he's put the ball on the money. He's given his guys chances, even when they're covered. He's put it in the best spot you can hope for without forcing a turnover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about that one to Brate, but at some point you got to win as receivers.
Right. Yeah. Couple tough catches have had opportunities to make, and they have not so far in this game. Here's Brady from the shotgun. Davenport got a great jump. Brady gets it out quickly to Fournette, runs out of a tackle and dives, but he can't get to the first down. I think he stepped out of bounds at the 50. So it's 3rd and 4 coming up here.
Great play there by Fournette, winning to the outside. That's the thing where he's not always that mismatch in the pass game because he's not able to beat guys horizontally, even bigger guys, in those quick game situations when you see a linebacker or even an end sometimes matched up against him, but he's able to get it done there. And if that's able to become more of a thing, then that would be huge. But overall, I doubt it. And by the way, interesting, we didn't see Gronk out there on the last snap. I would think he's out there basically every snap at this point. But again, these situations, I get if you want to get him a blow in this third quarter, but these situations, he needs to be out there. Brady throws over the middle of the field. Scotty Miller makes the catch. He's going to have the first down on 3rd and 4. So gain of 5 for Scotty Miller. And now we'll see if they try to go quickly at all. They get to the Saints 45-yard line there on 3rd and 4. Scotty having to expand his game there too, moving over the middle, not a part of the field you see him often at all on any sort of route.
Yeah, and Brady got it to him pretty quickly, and Miller had to reach back for that one actually a little bit. So pretty good catch there. Is the Bucs not moving with a lot of pace so far? Here's Ronald Jones over the right side, going to get about 6 yards. So it is going to be 2nd and 4 coming up here. And again, let's see if they start moving some tempo. Clock is at 1:11, and they want to score a touchdown. Obviously, they have 3 timeouts, but that's going to be critical here. Is the clock and how fast they're moving here is going to be important too, because they're not getting big chunks down the field right now. Here's Brady back to pass, throws quickly, and it's going to be caught by Cam Brate, I believe, for the first down. Yeah, they're going to give him the catch. Davis says it was incomplete, Demario Davis, but the refs say a catch by Brate. And so
they'll use a timeout finally. And that was a really good throw. Tight window. Brate's
going to be a lot of tight windows tonight.
Yep, and that's where having an accurate quarterback helps. He's going to put it in the best spot he can. The problem is if they're all like that, where they're barely, like not even open, like if there's even barely any sort of window to put it to, those are going to end up being completions more often than not. Unfortunately, like you just can't live like that all day. So you have to be able to win. And we did see Scotty, to be fair, win on that previous snap and able to create some separation. So huge challenge for everybody from Brady to the receivers to the coaching staff. Schematically, everybody's in a tough spot right now for the Bucs.
Yeah. It's been a weird game. It's been the kind of game. I mean, the Bucs have just been in this spot. Like they're at the 34 right now. They need to get closer for field goal range. This is where they've had just a ton of drives bogged down against the Saints. They've had last game that they played, and they might look at that one. Did Brate catch that?
I actually didn't see the replay. Did he not?
He dropped it. Did they reversed it on a replay?
Oh, that wasn't complete.
So I mean, Brate dropped it, so we got another drop.
You've got to come down with that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so it's a really disappointing performance by pretty much everybody on the Bucs offense.
And they're subbing Gronk out and bringing Brate back in. I mean, I don't get that at all.
I don't either. You need Gronkowski in these situations. Like, this is a huge drive in this game. Like, you don't want to have your best player left on the field in these spots. Like, is Gronkowski hurt? Like,
no, I mean, he was out there, and then they just subbed him out right just before this play for whatever they're about to do.
Yeah, just mind-boggling to me right now, the personnel decisions happening.
And you're going to have to win one-on-one over the middle. Saints in their two-man coverage. This is where you want Godwin.
Yeah, they're going to send pressure too. And they just cannot get over the hump in this area of the field. Here's Brady trying to step up in the pocket and get away, and he can't. Davenport gets him down, And it looked like Kappa was beaten again in that situation.
And they only sent
it's gonna be
4.
fourth down.
It was man coverage with just 2 safeties over top. So you're just asking anybody to win quick underneath one-on-one, and you can't even protect against a 4-man rush. And, there's just nothing you can do then in that situation.
Yeah. Brutal performance by the Bucs offensive line in this first half. Brutal performance by the receivers. Brady is out here playing by himself right now. 4 drops, multiple blown protections. They're struggling to pick things up. Jensen got beat there. Every player except Marpet's been beaten consistently in this game. It's ugly. Not doing anything right, really.
Scotty might have gotten open just at the end there, but by then Davenport was already in Brady's face. No chance to get set for a throw.
Yeah. Super disappointing performances. The Bucs are going to punt it with 48 seconds left from the Saints 45. They'll punt. Pinion's going to send this one on 4th and 10 down inside the 10, and we'll see if they can down it there. And it looks like they will. Vaughn gets down there and corrals it, and Delaney will have it down at the 2-yard line. So the Saints are likely going to take a knee, you'd think, here and run out this first half, in which they lead 6-0. Brady has been sacked 3 times. The Bucs have dropped a ton of passes. Chris Godwin's been hurt. Mike Evans has been hurt. It's been a complete abject disaster, Paul, on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and that's how you lose in a game like this, is when you lose the guys that win the one-on-one matchups. Again, like, it's not, it's not Leftwich, it's not Brady. It's just you're at a talent disparity, and obviously it was hard enough as is when Evans and Godwin were out there. I still felt like the Bucs still had the advantage, even though they didn't get it done in those couple of drives. But now it's looking pretty grim, and it's just going to be so hard to find a way to win this. And by the way, the Saints can't just kneel this out. They're going to have to actually run it probably, because they're so backed
true.
up.
Yeah, Bucs have their timeouts, and I'd imagine that they'll use them in this situation. Good point.
And I just mean, it's hard to take a knee when you're so backed up.
I had thought the Bucs took it. No, that's true. Yeah. Oh, they put it at the 1. I thought it was going to be out the 2, but it might be where he first touched it, and they are going to try and push forward here, and they're going to push forward successfully. I'm not sure what the Bucs defense thought was going on. Like, what are y'all doing? Like,
it's a forward kneel for 5 yards. Like, what?
Like, what are you guys doing? Wake up and play football. Like, did they just think he was going to give up or blow?
Yeah,
like,
it looks like they're just relaxed.
What did they think this play was going to be? They stood up like he was going to take a knee there.
Yeah, they're not ready for that snap at all, really.
The Bucs have 3 timeouts. They can't take a knee.
No, they got
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just poor.
And they do use a timeout at least, and it's going to be 2nd and 4 as the Saints pick up
6 yards on that play.
6 yards on a QB
yard gain. And now the
Basic.
punt's going to be easier if it happens, and it's probably not even going to happen. 2nd and 4. Just horrible. And Ingram's going to squeak through, and he's going to have the first down. So now the half's going to run out, and a chance to get the ball back there, but they blew it with the first down. Embarrassing first half, both sides of the ball, 6-0. The Saints lead as we'll go into halftime here. Not a lot of positive things to say, Paul. I don't think you were going to give up a ton of points in that first, no matter how bad it went, but giving up 6 and not being able to do anything on offense, losing Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, obviously the biggest part of this whole thing, but the offensive line being as bad as they've been. Brady's been great. That's the one thing you could say. Brady's been awesome.
Yeah.
When he's given a chance, he's made all the throws, all the plays, but the rest of the team has been terrible.
And you're asking Scotty Miller, you're basically asking Scotty Miller to be Mike Evans, and you're asking Tyler Johnson to be Chris Godwin. And for some reason, they're asking Cam Brake to be Gronkowski, even though Gronkowski is perfectly healthy standing on the sideline. So it's a tough ask. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know how you get it done in that way. Maybe you look for a splash play from Scotty, assuming they give you more of those one high looks. I mean, it's just so tough. Like, yeah, it's just going to be really hard. There's no obvious answer here at all.
I go back to the drops, obviously, because it's so huge. And again, it's what they've consistently done against the Saints, is just absolutely done this to themselves. Like, and Braid especially, dude, like, how bad has he been this season? Like, he's just been so bad. And for a guy who was supposed to be, that's what he does. Like, he makes tough catches at least. And he hasn't even done that this year. He's had tons of drops and just doesn't get open. We saw it last week. Brady, probably shouldn't have forced it to him down into the red zone, but he wasn't open. He can't create separation. He looks useless, but they keep playing him and they don't play OJ Howard at all. I'd at least like to try and get OJ Howard out here some. Cam Brate's giving you just absolutely zero this season.
Yeah, exactly. So Like, who are the guys that are winning other than Gronk? And why isn't Gronk out there on like as many snaps as he can possibly play? I get it on a normal week where you're kind of, load managing him a little bit when you can have 3 good receivers out there at times, or, at least 2. But on a week like this, and you got to win this game. Like, this is not like, this is obviously, we talked about at the top of the live stream or the game day stream. Like, this is still a very important game for both teams leverage wise in terms of playoffs.
Yeah, no question about it. Just some stats in that first half. I know Scott's going to come in here pretty soon, but Brady 16 to 23 for 118 yards. There's not a ton of big plays to be had right now, but he's been sacked 3 times. Almost all of them have been pretty quick wins. The last one was at least a little bit delayed there. You got to get out of the pocket a little bit, have a chance. But again, when you're down your top 4 receivers, nobody else can get open. It just becomes really difficult to make a play in that situation, or any situation really. So, but then you've had drops from Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Cam Brate. It's just been completely ugly across the board in that regard. Brate's had a shot at a couple and not made either play. I think Brady's honestly been pretty awesome, and here they are losing to the Saints and Taysom Hill 6-0 at halftime.
Yep, exactly. And when it's man coverage, you're asking the receivers to win. That's what it is. And you can make an argument that with zone, you're kind of putting it more on the quarterback, where you're saying, hey, find the soft spots, and assuming the receivers get there, you're asking the quarterback to be able to beat you by diagnosing the defense. But with man, you're really putting it in the hands of the receiver as a defense, I'm saying. Yeah. And the receivers haven't won. And even when they have, they've dropped it. So really hard. Like, there's nothing you can do there as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Succop's missed kick too is a huge part of this. I mean, absolutely brutal to miss out on any points there when you should have had a guaranteed field goal in that situation. Bruce Arians a couple of weeks ago was on Bucs Total Access, and he just said, they asked him, hey, have you talked to Succop? It was after Succop missed a kick in a game. I forget which game it was. And they asked him, did you talk to him after that missed kick? And he said, no, but it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And that's all he said. And he didn't sound pleased either. And it's not like Succop's been horrible. But, again, you don't get a lot of field goal opportunities if you're Succop. Like, he probably has less field goal attempts than anybody else in the league this season that's kicked every game for a team. And, when you miss 4 of them, it's not great, obviously. You need to be a lot better than that. So 6-0 at halftime against the Saints. This continues to be a team that's a thorn in their side. And everybody's going to say that, Paul, but it's just so much self-inflicted stuff that I hate it in some ways. Like, I hate how much of it is on the Bucs in this matchup. Like, I just think that that's terrible.
Yeah, for real. Like, I don't buy that there's any special, curse with the Saints or anything psychological in that way. I know that's the common, like, it's commonly accepted that that's kind of the case, but I don't buy that at all. Like, you can't watch the tape from the week 8 matchup and tell me that was the issue. No, it was obviously self-inflicted penalties last time. And this time it's kind of just the drops, the injuries, right? Like, it's not like as if the Saints have some sort of magic spell going on here.
Yeah, it's very, very strange how this unfolds, but it's hard for me to imagine like this offensive line playing as poorly as that they've played in this game. I don't think anybody saw that come. As good as the Saints defensive line is, don't think anybody saw that coming. Scott Reynolds, I don't know what you've seen coming in this half, and another embarrassing half of football for the Bucs. We can't figure out what this team is, and on top of embarrassment, it's also the fact that they've now lost Chris Godwin and Mike Evans to injuries.
Yeah, it's stunning to me that this is taking place at home, right? I mean, this is the Raymond James Stadium where the Buccaneers are not just undefeated this year. I mean, they're playing lights out football, but it's the Saints playing lights out football, especially on defense right now. John and Paul, Tom Brady's MVP performance is going to need one hell of a second half because the whole league is watching right now. And right now, this is not an MVP caliber performance. You have to give the Saints a lot of credit defensively. I think the biggest thing that Dennis Allen is doing that's really adding a new wrinkle to the Saints pass rush is he's putting his defensive ends inside. He's had Marcus Davenport rush inside a tackle. He's had Cameron Jordan rush inside a tackle, not as an edge rusher. And we saw Jordan come inside Alex Kappa for the first sack. Then we saw him beat Tristan Wirfs handily with another sack. But then on that last sack by Marcus Davenport was inside a tackle, then looped around Ryan Jensen, who was late picking up the twist, And unfortunately for the Buccaneers, John, all 3 of these sacks have come on 3rd down. So the Saints are getting impactful sacks. Meanwhile, guys, Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, just absolutely getting worked over by the Saints backup tackles. I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is. This is an embarrassing performance by the Buccaneers. And I hope that Bruce Arians is chewing some ass at halftime, because this is with the NFC South title on the line, right? I mean, the Bucs are going to eventually win it, but this should be the knockout blow right here, and it's not happening. So,
I think the biggest, I mean, the play at the end of the half when the Saints are back up on their own goal line,
yeah,
and that's, I mean, obviously they can't kneel. You have 3 timeouts, so they've got to run something, and they act like they think it's going to be a kneel. Like, what are you doing? Like, you give them 6 yards on a quarterback sneak that was supposed to be like basically just a dive forward to get out of the end zone. You don't even show up to play on the snap, and then you can't get the ball back for your offense. Like, what are you even doing? Like, you could have forced a punt from the 1 yard line. Like,
exactly. I know.
It's just that kind of stuff, man. Like, how do you come out in that in a game against the Saints at home with the NFC South on the line? Like, that's embarrassing.
I don't know. And listen, if I hear Bruce Arians say after this game that, they didn't come out with a lot of energy, it's like, it's a red out. It is a sold out stadium. There's not many Saints fans there. This is Sunday Night Football. This is the hat and t-shirt NFC South championship game right here. NFC South title on the line. If you can't get up for this game, something is wrong with you. With the leaders on this team, it's just something's wrong. And then, now listen, we're going to see how good Byron Leftwich is in the second half. Okay, we are because I thought during the Fox pregame show when Terry Bradshaw made the remark, he said we're going to find out how good Matt LaFleur is as a head coach when Aaron Rodgers is gone. Right? It's hard to evaluate him now with Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, surefire Hall of Famer. Let's see how he does when he's gone. Well, let's
see how he does when you give him Jordan Love.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't know how many guys will look good in that situation, but carry on.
Exactly. So let's see how Byron Leftwich, let's see how creative he is, right? Without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, because there's still enough weapons. Rob Gronkowski, Ronald Jones running the ball, Leonard Fournette catching the ball in the backfield. Scotty Miller, it's not going to look pretty, but all you need is a couple of plays in this game, right? The Saints, they've got a 6-point lead, 1 touchdown from the Bucs, and they're in the lead, right? So it's not like the Buccaneers are getting, their butts kicked in this game. It's just that they're not making plays. And I think the biggest thing is on defense. Again, no sacks, no takeaways. This is a carbon copy of what we've seen. I'm sorry, Levante David, 1 sack, 1 sack. But I'm just saying from the defensive line, from your edge rushers, your defensive tackles, Taysom Hill.
You saw some wins too. That was the most frustrating part. You saw JTS almost have a sack on both the Taysom Hill's deep shots. He had pressure in his face and he hit him. Dude was 1 of 7, Scott, on 20+ air yard throws going into this game. Like, it feels like when it rains, it pours. Evans, Godwin get hurt. Like, everything's pretty much going against the Bucs so far in this one.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And the thing is with Sean Murphy Bunting not playing well when it comes to the deep ball either. So, again, the Buccaneers can come out and just completely change this game in the second half, right? If they just make some plays, but doing so without Godwin and Evans, it's really going to test Brady and his trust in these other receivers. It's going to test Byron Leftwich, and where he wants to go with the ball. Because I hate to say it, John, but like Godwin and Evans and Gronkowski, all those guys, they make it easy for Leftwich and Brady. But
they make it easier for sure against the Saints. Obviously we know nothing's really
true.
Easy,
against the Saints, nothing is easy. Correct.
It's also, one encouraging thing is that Brady's played well. Like, he's 16 to 23. There's been 4 or 5 drops or very catchable balls that should have been made. That he
Gronkowski's
put in a good spot.
A big drop.
He had a drop. Godwin had a drop before he got injured. Brady had a drop there on second down. The short, that would have been a first down. Instead, they end up punting because of that. So, the Gronk drop ended up being a punt. So drops have been a huge part of this one. Brady had a shot at a really well-placed ball. Would have been a tough sliding catch, but
Yeah.
Brady put it in that tight window, and guys have not made plays. That's been extremely disappointing. You had a first punt of the game came. Leonard Fournette's on a defensive end out in the flat. You can't outrun that guy for the first down. Brady gets you the ball quick, moving upfield. Like those kind of plays are killer. And when you're down some of your most talented players, you really need some of those other guys to step up and make more plays than they've made.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is really from the get-go, and right in even though that first pass from Brady was not an interception, right? It was an aggressive play by Marshawn Lattimore. I just think that gave the Saints just a little oomph, right? Not that they need it, not that the Saints are afraid of the Buccaneers, nor should they be, right? I mean, they've beaten the Buccaneers for the past couple of years in the regular season, but I don't see any fear from New Orleans and Tampa Bay whatsoever. They're not afraid of the Buccaneers. Like they won their 38-3 last year. It's obviously a much better team, but I just don't see any fear from the Saints. The Buccaneers are going to have to take this game from New Orleans.
Absolutely.
They got to make plays on both sides of the ball. Right now, the defense, they're doing enough, but I think the Saints offense has been a little bit impotent, especially in the red zone.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't give up the 2 splash plays, they don't have any points either.
Exactly. But they got to get some takeaways, right? They've got to get some sacks. They have to do what New Orleans is doing right now, getting Taysom Hill on the ground, because obviously they're getting Brady on the ground. And in the offensive line, they've got to pass protect. And really, it's been the interior guys. Kappa's given up a sack. Jens has given up a sack. Wirfs has given up a sack so far. Donovan Smith has not played well either. He's come very close.
Nope.
A couple of times.
He's been on the ground a few times. Yeah.
Yes.
It's they're getting whooped up front. They need to change things. They need to change things quick. Luckily, the Bucs get the football. Scott, we appreciate you jumping in here. Bucs get the football. Third quarter about to start here, obviously. And Cam Jordan with 2 sacks tonight has eclipsed 100 in his career. But Paul, not a whole lot going the Bucs' way offensively. How do you start here? Because man, it's 6-0 third quarter, and you've got to get something going on this drive here. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both out, by the way.
Oh, officially ruled out? Okay.
Officially ruled out, yeah.
I think you go under center, 12 personnel, John, and you mix up the run, and I think it depends. It really, if the Saints continue to play a bunch of cover one, I think you go under center, 12 personnel, and set up deep shots to tie Scotty Miller down the sideline and stuff like that, one-on-one.
And here's Harden falls over himself again. This guy's balance
it's going to probably come back.
Horrible, and it comes back, with a penalty. So this first penalty of the game against the Bucs, I think it is.
Yeah, right on cue. It's been
they're going to start from their own 11, and they start right out of the gate in the third quarter, beating themselves.
Yeah, rough, John. And so I'm really curious how much the Saints change up what they're doing, but I do think you got to match with heavy personnel though, because I don't see that part of the Saints game plan changing. I think you go heavy to counter their light.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. How play action is crucial in the second half. I think being able to run the ball some is crucial in the second half. All those things are going to be critical. Bucs are going to have to start from their own 11-yard line after that penalty. And should be noted, Darden somehow fell over himself again in the open field there. Here's Fournette. He had a huge lane right off the bat, and he just hit pause. He still ends up accelerating and getting about 6 yards, but that could have been a huge run if he just would have gone.
Yeah, it doesn't have that burst.
Very odd.
One, just accelerating, and 2, just doesn't have that same decisiveness. He's been seeing the holes better, but he's just not. Rojo's a lot more decisive for all the other flaws that he has.
Right.
He is a lot more explosive with those handoffs.
Yeah, he's just going to mash the gas real fast when he gets the ball.
Now 13 personnel.
Yeah, 3 tight ends. We might see a decent amount of this. Brady from the shotgun, 4-man rush. He gets it out to Fournette quickly in the flat. He's going to run around Pete Werner and going to have the first down. So gain of 8 yards by Fournette. Good job just getting vertical there as Werner slowed down. And that's good kind of awareness on the field for Lenny there. And he gets out to the 25-yard line of the Bucs.
You're going to have to be able to win those matchups. It's going to have to go to Leonard a lot on these swings as he's in man coverage against linebackers and safeties and that sort of thing. And because there's not much, you're not going to get a lot of separation elsewhere to throw it. So Leonard's at least going to be open in the backfield.
Right. And Bucs going with the 2 tight end set here. It's Johnson and Miller out there, and they're going to run with Fournette over the left side. He's going to pick up a couple, gain of 3 or 4 for Fournette. So 2nd and 6, 7 coming up here.
So this makes sense what they're doing, John. The thing is, though, you can't live this way with these 3 and 4 yard gains. when you have an advantage like this in the run game with bodies, you have to be able to generate some sort of explosive plays, even from the ground game. You got to be able to, pick up first downs on first down. You can't just constantly be getting yourselves into second and mediums, third and whatever.
Right. Because you mentioned if you do get 3 and 4 yard gains on first down, you will probably be in a lot of third downs. As here's Brady back to pass quickly out to Ronald Jones, who turns it upfield and is going to go out of bounds about 2 yards short of the first down. So a 3rd and 2 coming up here quickly for the Bucs from their own 33.
And it's tough to live in even third and manageable. If it's sets of downs after sets of downs that are going to third down, it's really hard to just convert every single time, because even 3rd and 2 is not high percentage, right? So you're still rolling the dice. And eventually, if you just screw up one time in those, you are likely facing a punt based on Bruce Arians' 4th down tendencies.
Yeah, and some people say in there Rojo should fight for that first down, and I kind of agree. Again, I don't understand why he's so physical as a runner, but so unwilling to fight for yardage as a receiver. Makes no sense to me. Here's Brady. He's going to go deep to Jalen Darden. Has him out there. Darden might have slowed up.
He slowed down.
Yeah, looked like he laid it out right there for him, and Darden just lost the. Yeah.
And the Saints, they're continuing to challenge with one-on-one tight coverage across the board. It's only a single high, so Brady takes that shot. Makes perfect sense. And Darden just slows down as he's tracking it. That's a good ball.
Yeah. That's part of the inexperience. Let's see Lattimore with the coverage. You can see Darden right there kind of just stop and look back for the ball, and Brady's already thrown it. You got to keep running and trust that it's there in that situation. And Pinion's going to punt this one away on 4th and 2. So the Bucs miss a huge opportunity there. And now it's going to be fielded, and a good tackle by Zach Triner there on coverage. And so the Saints are going to have an opportunity. They stop the Bucs yet again, and the offensive struggle continue for the Bucs as Brady talking to Rojo and some other players as they come to the sideline there. But the Saints are going to start from their own 32.
And I see people talking about Scotty being open, but it makes no sense for Brady to look that way. He's got a similar speed matchup with Darden, and he's got a 3-man concept to that side. If he reads Scotty's side, there's no one to check down to. Whereas on Darden's side, he has a 3-man concept with Tyler Johnson running an out route and Fournette in the flat. So he would pretty much put himself in a bind if he just looked to Scotty. Gronk did chip out on a route after, but he started in pass protection.
Yeah, and I look like he was talking to Rojo there. I'm not sure what he was saying, but I mean, again, it's going out of bounds with Rojo. Like, I'm just not sure. Like, what is he thinking? Like, we know he's physical. I don't know what he's thinking. Like, why would you not just fight for more yards? And you know where the marker is? Like, I just hard to understand Rojo's thinking at some point in the game. The games need those kind of players to step up and make plays, and they just haven't done. Bucs playmakers, whoever's left, has just been terrible in this game so far and letting down the team. And to me, it's the biggest. Everybody's going to complain about a deep shot there to Darden. Well, again, it's not like it's the only concept, and I get you for sure. But you got one-on-one on the outside there, Darden. You have to look at what your receivers do. They only do so many things well. Like, Darden being fast is one of the things you got to try and take advantage of. So it becomes really hard in a lot of situations to ask Darden to do what Evans would do in all those situations and so on and so forth. Well, he's not capable of all that. So you resort to simpler things, I think, at certain times. Also, Bradley Pinion punted 39 yards there.
Yeah, I don't mind the deep shots on in those situations at all, because it's completely flipping field position, and you're now suddenly the reward is so big. I know that it's frustrating as fans because it doesn't feel that way necessarily, because it's going to fail more frequently than a more conservative play call will. But the thing is, when you get that more conservative play call, pick up the first down, you still have a long ways to go, right? And you could just easily just not convert on the next series of downs and no one blinks twice. But if you throw an incompletion on 3rd and short, then everyone's second guessing the decision. But I don't think it's bad process necessarily in that situation.
Yeah.
And especially because that's the coverage that the Saints are giving you. They're not giving you anything over the middle with that coverage. They're daring you to beat them deep. So you can't just bang your head against the wall as Leftwich and try to force something else underneath. Concept-wise, what he did there, Leftwich, made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I can't move to scheme until players start doing basic things at their position well. And here's Kamara running over the right side for 3-yard gain. And again, it's a 3-yard gain, but Jason Pierre-Paul just looks at him, step down the line of scrimmage. If you're unblocked on the end of the line of scrimmage, step down, make a hit, make a tackle. If you can't, get off the field because you're not healthy. Like, it's been this kind of stuff every single week with Pierre-Paul, but he keeps playing. Like, it's not the guy that anybody's ever watched in his career, and you don't want to be too hard on him because he's playing hurt, but Those are basic plays you got to make. That could be a line of scrimmage stop, but he leaves the gap open, so it isn't. 2nd and 7, Hill is working from the shotgun here. He's trying to run it over the right side, and he can't get there. Nice play by Devin White. Stiffed it out. Andrew Adams there as well. Knocked down Hill, and it's going to be 3rd and 8. Saints have it at their own 34. Feels like the Saints have barely had the football, Paul, since those 2 field goal drives.
Yeah, right. Because those drives weren't long either, right? They're just kind of those splash plays, field position, and they're just kind of there.
Right. And there's White with the takedown on 2nd down. So 3rd and 8 coming up for the Saints, and Taysom Hill working from their 34. Here's Hill back to pass. Try and shrink. It gets there and forces the incompletion, and the Bucs defense gets off the field, and they are trying to set some energy right now. They're trying to set some energy for the offense. Devin White running off the field, going crazy, and the offense needs it right now, man, because that is a hurting unit. A lot of injuries and a lot of players messing up and making mistakes with their heads not in the game right now. You can see, look at this twist. They're going to bring Tryon Shoyinka. It looked like, I don't think he was supposed to go all the way around outside maybe there, or he's a little slow developing there in terms of who was supposed to do what, but Tryon Shoyinka gets there and forces the incompletion.
Right.
Saints
he went all the way from like the 3 tech on the right side, I think, over to looping around the left tackle.
Yeah, and Darden is going to get 2 yards on the return. So Bucs are going to start from their own 22-yard line. I know people in the chat are just ready to boot Darden. He has been bad. I understand.
And the thing is, maybe before you had the luxury of saying, hey, maybe we go to AB in the punt return game next week, but you can't risk that now.
No, you can't. You can't risk. This is it's just sometimes, Paul, like games just feel like everything goes, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like sometimes football just goes that way. Like Evans getting hurt, Godwin getting hurt, Perryman got COVID, AB suspension's the last game of suspension. Sometimes it feels like they're not like meant to beat the Saints. They're not meant to beat them easily, at least in the regular season. Like, it's amazing how many, like, last game, the penalties, like that was the whole game. I know people want to talk about other things, but it was so much of the game were the penalties. Like, it was
the penalties more than anything. If you're gonna like, obviously it's always
else, right?
It's always multiple things, but if you're gonna pick the one thing, that's within the Bucs' control. It was clearly penalties,
right? And it's just so fun. Like, this team just feels like obviously, anybody watching this game knows it's a lot of self-inflicted stuff. Saints defensive line deserves credit for sure. They played great, but
absolutely, it's
just amazing to me how many things go wrong every time they play the Saints. It's always this crazy comedy of errors. Like,
I see the chat going after Leftwich, going after Brady, and it's like, you got to understand the reality of the situation. Like, look at who you're playing with and look at the defense you're playing. This is one of the absolute best defense in the NFL and has been for a couple of years now. And I don't think, like, I'm as critical of Leftwich as anyone really. And I don't have any issue really with what he's done so far today. Everything makes sense. You can't make your guys, win on routes or not drop balls. And I don't know what you can really say about Brady critically, like if you're really watching what's happened process wise.
Right.
So yeah, it's just like the line's getting beat and the receivers aren't winning or they're not catching. Like, that's all it is.
Kim wants me to tell him to bench Darden, but I don't make those calls, Kim. I'm sorry. I don't make those calls. Kenyon Barner is inactive for this game, so they don't really even have another option right now because obviously they don't want Scotty to do it. Giovanni Bernard would have done it, and he's hurt. So Scotty's the emergency guy, but I just don't know if he's the guy that you want at this point in time, given the fact they didn't trust him over a guy who's never had any returns. And
they're showing the one where Tyler Johnson sits down over the middle against man coverage, I think on the opening drive.
Yep. Good point on that one. Again, just route running errors, mistakes, things that people on the national broadcast are probably not going to tell you, but we're going to tell you here on the show. Here's Brady, handoff Leonard Fournette, going off the right side. He's got some space. He windmills, and he gets about 8 yards on the play. He's taking some low shots tonight too, but 2nd and 2 and a good first down run there for the Bucs.
Yep. And you have to be able to sustain this. And hopefully Lenny's not banged up, but another low shot to the knees. And oh my God, that just looks so brutal.
He's a lot of low shots tonight, but that's where you got to tackle a big guy like Lenny for sure.
And that's the issue with this type of defense. They're daring you to have a dominant run game, and you're not going to be able to get away with having a good one. You need to have a dominant one. And Brady with a squared stance, see what this is. Look at that.
Yeah, and it's a run. There it is. off the left side, and they just totally blew the block, and Rojo's going to get hit, broke the first tackle, then behind the line of scrimmage, he's going to get dropped for in the second one. So it's going to be 3rd and 2. Saints flying up, and Bucs offensive line not making plays out there on the perimeter.
And that's why it's so hard to – that's why daring the run is a smart strategy. And they're not doing it with light boxes, the Saints. They're doing it with their personnel. I'm assuming they've been doing what they've been doing every other game. It's hard to tell, obviously, keep up that way on the live broadcast. But, yeah, that's the whole thing with the run game. It's just really hard to consistently chain together successful plays.
Yeah, they are completely lost on offense right now. On 3rd and 2, Brady's back to pass. Pressure coming. Donovan Smith got beat, and Gronkowski dropped it. He reached up to get it, but took his eye off the ball. First. The hit coming. Did it get deflected?
Yeah, they got deflected. Gronk tracked it. It hits his hand.
It's one of those nights. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I got tipped.
Yeah, tipped right there. Slowed it down for Gronk. Took his eye off the ball when he was trying to pull it in.
And that's that cover one again.
Great play by Demario Davis.
It's tight coverage everywhere underneath. The middle's clogged up with a hole or robber player. And that's the guy that's there to make that deflection, by the way. And that's why on the previous 3rd and 2, same coverage, they're taking that deep shot because that's the vulnerability against that defense. It's so hard to win anything quick and underneath against that type of coverage.
Yeah. 3 and out, man. Bucs offense absolutely dead right now. 9:05 left in the 3rd quarter. It's on the defense again here. Let's see. There's a flag down here on the punt return, which was a short one.
And by the way, because I know the play calling is going to get torched. That play call by the Bucs conceptually was the same play that won the last game with the mesh concept. With
I was going to ask that. Yeah,
it's the same concept. It's the same coverage, defensively, slightly different nuance. The Saints aren't trying to pass it off. I don't think. I think the Saints are just following through, whereas the Bills are trying to pass it off and they screwed that up. But again, that's like a man coverage beater. But your guys just aren't winning. Like Scotty's on the crosser underneath. He's going to be the guy that you're counting on to get open. And he creates 0 separation running horizontally. And then 56, the whole player is just right there watching Brady's eyes the entire time. And he gets the deflection on a pass over the middle because, again, it's really hard to throw over the middle against this coverage.
Right. And it was a great play by Demario Davis. People in the chat are pointing out. That's what I mean. Like there could be those types of plays. Like I get it. That happens. But it doesn't hurt so bad if you have to punt on a drive like that if you don't, A, blow the blocks on 2nd down, but B, if you don't, get into situations earlier in the game where guys are just dropping first downs. Like those plays hurt. The Saints are going to make plays like that one. That was a heck of a play by Davis. Obviously, you mentioned it, the personnel they have and not spacing a defense like other personnel would, but that's going to happen. But early in the game when you have opportunities to make plays and then it mounts up and this, is kind of the result you get now. Okay, now it feels worse. This feels worse, right? But the stuff you could have controlled earlier in the game, you didn't control. And so now everything avalanches when the defense makes a good play.
And that's what happens when you're playing with such a small margin of error, right? And when you no longer have the talent advantage with all these injuries and, when you're playing a good defense, it's like you can't have so many things go wrong and still win. Maybe you can do that against the Jets when you're healthy, but not against the Saints.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
And apparently because Fournette's hurt.
Is he?
Yeah, chat's saying Fournette's going to the locker room.
Wow. So, I mean, there's not much more you can say here. Pretty much the entire offense out, other than the line and Brady. Hard to win a football game this way against anybody, let alone one of the best defenses in the NFL. So,
and
pretty brutal. Bucs, and you can only hope it doesn't set back their season too. I mean, that's where we're at now. Is these injuries matter more beyond this? Obviously, you want to win this game. It's embarrassing that you're in the situation you're in, but now you just worry Evans, Godwin, Fournette, like where are these guys at in terms of injuries and how it'll affect the rest of the regular season and obviously the playoffs too. That's huge concern here.
Yeah, for sure. And the Bucs have played a lot of really tough pass defenses this year. I remember seeing a breakdown of just such a high percentage of top 10 pass defenses that the Bucs have gone against. And even their upcoming schedule, like Carolina has a pretty decent defense and, and Brady has been able to produce terrifically. And if it's going like this, Rodgers is going to win the MVP playing against a bunch of cupcake defenses, to be real.
Worst pass defense in the league today. Obviously lit them up. Here's Hill throwing, and this one's incomplete. Was that tipped to the line of scrimmage? You missed Callaway there underneath. Is that? I think that was tipped. I'm not sure. Saints are missing a ton of guys, somebody said, but they're not missing anybody on defense really. So that's where the matchup issue presents itself for the Bucs, is that the Saints don't really have anybody out on defense. They're it's Peyton Turner, who's a rotational player for them, and Tino Passanel, or who's a rotational player for them as well. So here's Hill on 2nd and 10, back to pass, looking, has tons of time. Now Whitehead flushes him, and he's going to throw it away on 2nd and 10. So 3rd and 10 is coming up, for the Saints from their own 18-yard line. 8:57 left in the third quarter.
John, you can only ask so much of your defense. To hold any team to 6, I don't care if it's Taysom Hill, to only give up 6 up to this point.
Fournette is out. Sorry, Paul. Wow. Hamstring for Fournette. Hamstring for Fournette. Hamstring for Evans. And Chris Godwin with the knee injury. All 3 are out. So Bucs are down their top 4 receivers and Fournette. Their top 2 running backs too. Right. Here we go. 3rd and 10. Taysom Hill back to pass. Has plenty of time. Now protection starts to break down. Being chased. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka gets out there and brings him down. A sack for JTS. The hustle play. He's going to drop Taysom Hill for a loss of a couple, and the Saints will punt.
So only down 6. I mean, your defense has set you up big time if you're this Bucs offense. Like, they have played really, really well, honestly, all things considered. And the fact that you've been able to play this poorly as an entire unit on offense, and you can take the lead on this drive, that is a huge gift. They need to be able to put it together. I don't know what it is, it's such a tough puzzle to figure out, but they just have to be able to get it done.
Yeah. It is. It's a tough puzzle to figure out against this defense. You feel like you almost need an explosive play. See if Darden can give you one in the return game. Just kidding. As he slides, jumps, dives forward on the ground to his own 30. Where was that ball spotted at? It was 34? 39. Sorry, 39-yard line. So the Bucs are going to have good field position, but not
terrible field position. And they're showing Cam Jordan winning matchups against Wirfs, against Kappa. But I mean, honestly, Wirfs getting beat there a couple times. That's not something you ever see, really.
Yeah,
just such a beast on the defensive line is Cameron Jordan.
Yeah, this is tough.
12 personnel, or is it 13? It's 13.
Yeah, 13. Brady goes play action. He steps up through pressure, throws over the middle of the field, and a sliding grab is made by Cam Brady, I believe.
So it looks like he
made this one.
They brought in
45, gain of 16.
Extra tackle, so counting as that third tight end and going heavy play action here, and just the crosser. I don't think Brady even created a ton of separation. Brady just terrific anticipation right past that whole player. Seeing it, he's letting that go before Brate's actually opened. And there's a very tiny window. Brady with excellent anticipation and accuracy.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to go play action as they do it again. Kappa gets beat again. He throws over the middle of the field. Howard, why'd that one go off his hands? How is there no flag there? I'm stunned. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson looked like from the live shot there that he had him wrapped around the waist.
Yep, looks like he's already tackling him before the ball's even there. But either way, Howard.
Let's see if we get a replay.
He's got to come down with that. Like, he's got his hands on it. I know it's difficult, but that's kind of, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it really hurts not having any yardage on first down, because now you get into 2nd and 10, and the Bucs almost never run in these situations for good reason, because it doesn't really work. And so now when they are going to hand off to Ronald Jones, he's going to get 3 yards. So now you're in 3rd and long, which is basically exactly what you wanted to avoid. And no call there is pretty egregious, but yeah, that's the kind of thing you need. If OJ Howard's a 1st-round tight end, he makes that kind of play. And obviously we know now at this point in his career that he's not that. So tough stuff for the Bucs. No AB, no Brashad Perryman going into the game. Then you lose Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Leonard Fournette early in the game. Well, Godwin and Evans early in the game. Leonard Fournette as well now in the 3rd quarter is lost for the game as well. So Bucs just really running out of options in terms of weaponry right now. Brady back to pass on 3rd and 7, steps up in the pocket and hits Tyler Johnson, who's going to be about a yard short of the first down. And you pretty much got to go for it here, you would think, right?
You have to go for this.
Yeah, you're in no man's land. You're at the 36 of the Saints.
And the Saints showing no fear from their DBs, constantly putting them in these press man situations, tight man situations, and saying, hey, create separation, Bucs receivers. And the Bucs receivers haven't been able to do it. Give credit to Tyler Johnson for getting that catch. But again, he's tackled right there, like, because that's just good defense. I'm not ripping Tyler Johnson at all for that. That's just really, really good defense.
Right.
So it's hard to live that way, hard to sustain success.
Yeah. And on 4th and 1, it just feels like these plays haven't gone the Bucs away all night. They've just died. Drives have just died at this portion of the field as Brady's back to pass, lofts one for Gronkowski down the sideline, incomplete. Again, grabbing all over him, but no flag. And again, I just don't get that one at all. Like,
I don't get that one. You got to run the ball in that situation. I get it on those third downs where maybe, you're further down the field, and plus you can get the punt.
He's clearly being grabbed though. Like, this is just day one officiating stuff. It's just frustrating. I mean, obviously that one, I don't agree with the call or the decision or anything like that, but that's just still, like, it's just frustrating to me. Like, that's twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
When there's the risk of the turnover there, like, you got to just go with the high percentage play. And that's the run in that situation. Even if your run game's not been successful, your run game, even a bad run game, can get 1 yard. Like, I hate that call. And the reason I don't mind, like, if you're throwing it, I get why you're throwing it there, because again, they're playing that press cover 1. They're taking away everything quick and underneath. It's not there. So if you're going to throw it, they're going to make you take these low percentage throws where if you hit them, you're going to get a big reward. But if you don't, it's turnover on downs, and
you just can't do that on 4th and 1. Like,
that's the thing. I get throwing it if you're anticipating a soft coverage where they're going to give up a high percentage pass, but that's not what the Saints haven't done that all night. They've been playing that tight coverage and saying, hey, beat us deep. We're not going to give you anything quick.
And now the field position game is what it is. Saints are going to start 1st and 10 from their own 36-yard line. And for the Bucs, this has just been a game from absolute hell. At home against your division rival, you're down 6-0, and the Saints are going to have an opportunity. It feels like if it gets to 9-0, that's just crazy to say about the Bucs, but given their injuries and the way they've looked tonight and the strength that is the Saints defense, it feels like 9-0 could be enough to win this game, which, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's that bad for the Bucs offense right now. They've got absolutely nothing going on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it doesn't even feel like a given that the Bucs will manage to get a touchdown. So no doubt that 9 points is gonna really put this game up in the air. Just insane. I mean, I don't get that 4th down call at all. Like, it's just such a high leverage situation. I don't hate the 3rd down deep shots in general. I just don't. But on 4th down, it's a totally different equation, I think.
Yeah, it's bad right now. It's bad. They have no answers for what the Saints are doing right now. And yeah, it's even moved into the play calling realm here because it's pretty brutal so far in this game. So defense is pretty much, we're getting to that point, Paul, where you don't like to say this about the Bucs, but defense is pretty much going to have to make standing there instead of trying to help out with a gang tackle. And instead it's of 2nd and 9 or 10, it's 2nd and 7. That basic stuff defensively, just not engaged in those ways, is where it gets really frustrating.
They're showing all that hand fighting on the replay from Jenkins against Gronk. And again, Kappa. I think that was Kappa. Yeah, just getting run over. Just
he had a really bad night. Pretty much everybody on the Bucs offense. Here comes JTS, almost gets to Taysom Hill, but Hill gets the throw off and completes to Ingram for 3 yards. So 3rd and 4 coming up here. JTS, again, he's winning consistently as a pass rusher.
He's affecting plays, John, because we've seen Hill get that type of pressure already today and throw incompletions. So that time he's able to connect. But again, JTS affecting the play that's on the previous drive even. He had that same type of pressure. Hill threw an incompletion. So another awesome play by him. I can't ask for much more.
Right. And here's a 3rd and 4 coming up here. Hill back to pass, has time this time, steps into it down the field and knocked away Pierre Desir. Great job not interfering and knocked away the pass. Worked around the receiver. Troutman beautifully swats it down. And on 4th and 4, the Saints are going to punt the ball again.
I mean, just really impressive what this defense has done so far. Just given how good the Saints scheme things up, right? Like I know Sean Payne's not out there on the sideline today, but that really is not going to, like, the game plan is already made. Like he was very heavily involved in the plays that they're all picking are off the menu that he helped create this week. So the Sean Payne handprints are all over this. And for Todd Bowles to be able to step up schematically, I get it. There's a lot of advantages player-wise, but I'm still impressed.
Punt returners are going to play a huge role in this one, and punters. This Darden gets upfield, gain of about 10. He gets knocked down at the 19-yard line. He's fired up about that. I am too. Most steps
John, by the way,
without falling.
I don't know if you're admin and YouTube, there's just a spammer if you can block the webcam.
I think I actually already blocked him. I think it just
Okay.
doesn't show up for everybody else. Yeah, I blocked him. I think they just comment like a bunch of times at once, and it puts them all up on the chat.
Oh,
I
okay, yeah, I see that the messages are deleted. Yep.
Yeah, it should remove them after you refresh there. It just takes some time for everybody. So here we go. The Bucs offense again for what feels like the 118th time in this game. They are out there again, and they still have bad field position, but
look at that, John, squared.
Here's a quick throw to Ronald Jones, or pitch to Ronald Jones, and he has the first down, and he picks up 12 yards. So the little short pitch to Jones gets them a first down. They're out to their own 31-yard line, 4:14 and counting left in the third quarter. Bucs trail 6-0.
Did they pull anybody on that run? They did, I think. They pulled Jensen. And the Bucs have had a lot. They did, yeah. They pulled Jensen, and Wirfs came out outside as well. They've had a lot of success with any type of runs involving a puller. Saw the data on it from Oliver Connolly, is it, John? Is that the name?
Yes, Oliver Connolly, yeah.
He had an awesome article he was talking about.
Here's Brady, handoff Ronald Jones over the right side. He's got some space. He's ripping down the right sideline. Ronald Jones, he's got a couple guys to beat, and they haul him down at the Saints' 39-yard line, it looks like. So a 30-yard run for Rojo, and the Bucs are in Saints territory.
And that looks like counter or no, kind of, right? The way
it looks like pin and pull to me.
But they're showing the second last run, I think.
Oh, sorry. Which one?
I'm getting confused here.
Oh, Godwin or Gronk blocked down, and you pull Wirfs out and get him out in front, and great block by Wirfs out there. And now they're going to be, okay, you only have two running backs left. Remember, no Giovanni Bernard, no Leonard Fournette, and you have really no passing downs back. This gets really tricky. On 1st and 10, Keyshawn Vaughn is in the game. He's going to take the handoff, and he'll get about 2 or 3 yards. So they're at the Saints' 37-yard line. They've got a 2nd and 8, and this is where so many drives have bogged down for the Bucs in this game.
And this is what they've needed, those explosive plays in the run game. When you have those size mismatches, it's just so hard to get them at all, let alone consistently, to where you can actually end a drive. And you can't get it done only through the ground game, obviously. So you need your receivers to make some plays, which they just haven't done so far tonight.
Yeah, it's been really frustrating to watch. And now in a 2nd and 8, in a pretty pass-obvious situation, very quickly out to Keyshawn Vaughn in the flat, and he drops the football. Can't say we're surprised. Vaughn had like 11 targets last year and 4 drops. That
was such a soft throw too. Like, it's not even, you can't say that's a hard. That was just a rainbow. Led him. And
now you're in a 3rd and 8 here. This is at the Saints 37. I mean, 5 drives have died here. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. Like, and I know Brady's frustration level has to be high, but this is a 3rd and 8 you kind of have to have. This is a huge play in this game. You've got to get into field goal range here.
And Keyshawn Vaughn might have pass protection responsibilities here, which is the scariest part.
Lord, help us. Bucs O-line needs to be great. Nope, Vaughn's going to motion out. They say get him out of here. 4-man rush. Brady throws over the middle. Gronkowski makes the catch, and he's got the first down. A huge 10-yard gain for Gronkowski on 3rd and 8. He hit him just short of the sticks, and I think Saints was a P.J. Williams coming up there, kind of missed the big hit. And Gronk was able to fall forward for the first to the Saints' 27.
So it looks like they're playing cover 1, John, and I think they had that safety rotate down to be that robber position, but because he's coming down late, he's not in position to take away that slant the way he would be if the whole player started there at the beginning of the snap. So that's why they're able to get that quick hitter over the middle, and again, it's taking a guy winning a one-on-one matchup, which Gronk does.
Yeah, it's a 44-yard field goal from here. Here's Brady going deep to Gronkowski. Oh, my goodness, he put it right on him, and Gronk dropped it.
Gronk wasn't even ready. It was right there, perfectly placed. Couldn't have handed it to him better.
How are you not ready, dude?
Oh my God! And that's 2 drops from Gronk today, and on easy catches. And he's winning on a wheel route against Jenkins. Jenkins getting caught flat-footed for half a second. Brady putting it on the money
Jeez, man.
And Brady's throwing that before Gronk even separates. Again, good anticipation, just reading
he just
the leverage.
lost it in the lights. I have no idea. He got his head around in time. He just couldn't find the ball. Bizarre. It's in that kind of night, man. I mean, you could watch the Bucs play 100 times. Here's Rojo off the right side, and man, it looked like there was a lot more there. But again, how well the Saints defend with their DBs, John C. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Williams make the tackle there, gain of just 3. And so it's 3rd and 7 coming up here now for the Bucs. And this is huge. You've got to convert these 3rd and 7. Now from here, it's a 41-yard field goal. Suckup, I saw our boy Ken Barrett say Suckup missed a couple in
well, you're playing for touchdowns here either way.
Yeah.
Suckup
missed a couple in during halftime, I think.
If you're getting to 4th and short here, you got to go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Here's Brady. Back to pass. Hit in the runs for it. It's going to take off. Fumbles from behind. Hit. Saints are going to pick it up. And Saints are going to have it. You can't make it up, man. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. It's that kind of night. Some nights, I mean, football gods just aren't going to let you win. Like, that's just what it is.
Just nobody able to win, get open, and then now Brady having forced to tuck it in, and that's probably his first mistake of the night.
Yeah, got to protect the football for sure, but it is frustrating.
I mean, there's
Again,
pressure in the backfield
pretty quickly,
right away.
Kappa beaten immediately. It's hard to win that way, for sure.
And Brady's not just going down because he's trying to fight for that first down, trying to get all the way there. He's not just sliding.
Yeah.
If that's first down, maybe he just slides. But on 3rd down, he's trying to get there.
Yeah.
You understand the process, I guess, but
an unbelievably embarrassing performance by the offense. Here's Taysom Hill around the right side. They optioned off Jason Pierre-Paul pretty easily on that one. The thing about Pierre-Paul, he doesn't even look like he can run. Like, it's a shoulder injury, but like he isn't even moving when he's on the field. I have no idea why more teams haven't just straight up attacked him when he's out there. I mean, every year I watch the All 22 every week, and it's unbelievable that they continue to put him on the field. Like, he is 0 pretty much across the board, like on almost everything that they do. Now I'll probably get like a tip or a pick or something now that I say that, but like, I mean, he barely moves on most plays.
Right. No, I agree.
There's Kamara on the right side and Murphy bunting, and David track him down. He's not going to gain anything. So 3rd and 2. Man, this game feels absurd. Like, I don't even know what to say about this game. It feels like there's just like Bucs are 2 for 10 on 3rd down. I know they have injuries. They have 173 total yards. Like, this is just laughable. Like, or sorry, they have 238 total yards. The Saints have 173 total yards and are winning this game 6-0. But this is just a laughable result, right? I mean, like 6-0 is just so embarrassing. Like, there's not really words for this. Like, I mean, obviously guys can't get open, I know, and the drops have been unbelievable to overcome, but it's just a lot right now.
Yeah, I think that Gronk catch would have put them around the 10 had he not dropped it.
Oh,
on that
inside. Yeah, they've been inside the 5, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, and you're even for as poor as this offense has been, you're thinking touchdown in that situation. I trust them with 4 downs to get 5 yards. And yeah, you just can't make mistakes against a team this good on defense, let alone make multiple mistakes every single drive. And on top of that, your offensive line getting beat play after play. I mean, after reviewing the tape from last week, just talking about it in our group chat, like, I was critical of Brady. I didn't think he had a worse game than I thought he initially did just from watching the broadcast. But I don't see how you really blame him today. Like, I get that you can't turn it over, you can't fumble it, but like, it's a lot of stuff that led up to that situation in the first place.
Yeah, no question. I'm stunned at the O-line performance.
Yeah.
I mean, just stunned at how bad they've been and how quickly they've lost. I can't believe that. That is just astonishing to me. I know the injuries are going to limit the amount of points you're going to score in this game, but the offensive line has not given them a chance in some of these money. And that's Wirfs and Kappa losing there. I mean, how many times has Wirf lost one-on-one all season? He's going to lose more in this game one-on-one than he's lost in the entire season.
Yeah. Kappa, like, I'm not completely surprised because he's had some rough games just on the tape. Even last game, I didn't think he was great. I was surprised that he was actually graded better than Jensen, supposedly. According to PFF, Jensen was worse, but just like the eye test that I thought Kappa had the weaker game, but it's worse. That's the complete shocker. Like, you're talking about one of the best tackles in the league, obviously.
And Smith too.
Yeah,
and Smith too. I mean, there's not many words for this performance so far, even with the injuries. Now, the injuries are a big part of it, no question. Like, do I think this would be the score if there weren't for the injuries? No, but the weirdest and toughest part to stomach is that the Bucs have actually moved the football some in this game. Like, they haven't just gone 3 and out. That would be hard to stomach too, but they've actually moved it into Saints territory many times and just continued to come away with no points. Sometimes right on the cusp of field goal range, the missed field goal, fumble down there. Like, it's been brutal. Yeah. Here's Hill on 3rd and 2. David sniffs it out, and so does Devin White, and they get him down short of the line to gain. So it is 4th down. Saints are going to be deep in their own end here, and we'll see what they decide to do.
They're going to punt this, I assume. No way they're going to gamble. No way they're going to gamble.
The player? David sniffs this out the whole way. They have just a fullback in the backfield. David sniffs it out the whole way, takes out the fullback, and then Andrew Adams takes out Hill. Great read by both of them there. Levante David playing one heck of a game tonight.
Yeah. I mean, consistently just the smartest player out there, right?
Yeah. Here's a pretty big punt. Darden's going to field it and get hit right away. Did catch the ball. It was close.
You can't field that, though. Yeah. You got to.
He is an accident in a game like this, man, where everything's going against you.
If you get taken out,
he feels like the death knell waiting to happen. A punt deep in your own end where you give up just a field goal off the turnover. We'll see. So the Bucs offense is going to be out here again. I mean, the Bucs defense has been incredible, and since those early points in the game, they've been outstanding.
Probably their most impressive game since Chicago.
Yeah, obviously the Saints offense is a complete dud, but still.
Yeah, but still,
it doesn't matter. Yeah, who you're playing if you're the Bucs at this point, you're not giving up anything defensively right now.
Yeah, like even a bad team, you would expect to put up more than 6.
Right, for sure.
Just
so Bucs offense got to get it going. They just haven't been able to. Here they are from their own 32. And there's going to be a pitch to Ronald Jones around the right side. He's going to accelerate up the field, and he'll have about 6 yards. So 2nd and 4 is coming up for the Bucs offense from their own 38.
They're finding success with these outside runs, John. And we saw it on the last drive. We're seeing it this time with the toss. Is there a reason specifically that you think that they're having success with this against the Saints?
I truly have no clue right now. I mean, you're able to crack some of their linebackers and safeties and keep them from getting over. So that helps.
I guess you're getting your size in space, right? You're getting your big guys in space. And like we talked about, the Saints are playing small. So maybe that's a part of it.
Man, it'd just be nice. They're winning some first downs. They just can't win second down, it feels like. And so they're ending up on a lot of third downs. Brady takes a snap, throws it out to Ronald Jones in the flat, makes Quan Alexander miss, and is going to dive forward. Way to keep your feet there.
When's the last time they had a set of downs that didn't go to third?
It's just incredible. Like, can you not keep your feet there? Like, I just didn't feel like you really got hit. Like, you can't make that play? You can't be an athlete? Like, that's just crazy to me. Like,
and I'd like to see them run it.
Who brought him down even? Did he even get hit? Like,
Keyshawn Vaughn's in the game.
I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn's in the game on 3rd and 1. Handoff to Vaughn, who's hit in the backfield, not even close. Keyshawn Vaughn is your guy on 3rd and 1? What are we doing? Come on. Do you win the game?
I don't know how you don't turn to your best players in that type of situation. Like, and obviously in running back, that's Rojo. And
what are we
looks
doing?
Like something went wrong blocking wise too there, right? There's no way that he was meant to be just let free off the edge. And you're going to punt on 4th and 1?
I guess they just figure they kind of lost half a yard there. Maybe they figure we just haven't done anything all night.
And now false start against the Bucs.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Keyshawn Vaughn on 3rd and 1 in this game? You have not scored any points. You're 2 for 10 on third down. You want to go to Keyshawn Vaughn? Come on. Get out of here. Can't be serious. Try to win the game. Here's Pinion punting
Not
it
a
away.
good punt.
And nobody's surprised at all that it's an absolutely terrible punt. This is brutal. A slow, brutal death. 1st and 10 for the Saints. They'll start from their own 34-yard line.
It feels like
A
they get a field goal,
30-yard
it's
punt,
game
in my
over.
opinion. A 30-yard punt.
A field goal ends the game here, John.
This team just loses its mind when they play the Saints. Like, just loses its mind. Everybody, players, coaches, it's just unbelievable how this team loses its mind. I mean, Saints got a great shot at the 7, and Bucs got a great shot at the 2 seed, even if they lose this game.
Yeah.
You
But
kidding yourself if you don't think you're going to face them again, because it's right there on the table.
And
Or the 7 if it starts tonight, if they win tonight. They've got the Dolphins, Panthers, and Falcons left.
And they were gifted an opportunity at the 1 with Arizona losing, right, last week and then again this week. Obviously, you're still behind Green Bay, but they're lucky to even be contending for the 1 seed at this point with some of the games they've dropped. And now to lose this one, if they do go ahead and lose it.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, they just haven't taken that step forward from last year, as big of a step forward as you would have thought they would. They are a better team, I think, than they were.
I mean, obviously, not having their guys tonight is killer. Like, against this defense, that's really hard.
Right.
But again, I mean, you've moved the ball. Like, you got to finish a drive or two. Like, nobody's asking for 30 points, but any points, 7.
And
points.
Play calling wise, the only big issue I had was that 4th and 1 where
I have some issues in the second half, but it's not been as big an issue as player performance, obviously. I mean, when you have 6 drops, I mean, a bunch of other catchable balls,
Well, it's relative. Like, there are a lot of games, winning or losing, where I watch the Bucs and I'm like, okay, the play calling is leaving a lot to be desired here. And it's not like to those levels of egregious that it sometimes is. Could it be better? Sure. But yeah, it's definitely players that are the biggest issue so far, just execution.
Yeah, it's just hard to take a team seriously when they can't. Like, again, it's one thing if it's just, your players just aren't good enough and that isn't the Bucs' problem. Even in this situation, like, you only need any points in this game. You have moved the ball. You have not finished drives. Like, that's been on execution. Like, Gronk's dropping a ball inside the 5. That's on execution. So it's just really hard. Players in pass protection, I mean, not even giving Brady a chance.
Like, who's open here?
Brutal.
I mean, Scotty actually got open deep in the end zone.
Right.
In that one,
Brady's
there was
getting sacked
pressure
by the time that happens, right?
Yeah. Like, there's no way the slow developing stuff is getting there.
Yeah, it's just. Here's Taysom Hill, fake pitch, and he gets Shaq Barrett out of position. Now he throws on the play action rollout, and he's going to have a big gain on first down. Callaway gets 17 yards, and so they're going to move out to the Bucs 49-yard line, and now the Saints are threatening just outside of field goal range. If they can get a couple of positive plays in here, 9 points probably does it in this game.
Yeah, really feels that way.
Man, hard to put into words how bad this performance has been. One of the worst in franchise history, I would say, for the Bucs, especially offensively. And they have a lot of them, obviously. Here's 1st and 10 for Hill. Going to hand off to Kamara. No, he's going to keep it himself, and he's going to run around the left side or the right side and drop by David. He's going to gain 7 yards, though. 2nd and 3 at the Bucs 42. They're in a great position here, but it's amazing to me why they haven't done this more. I mean, the Bucs have not defended one zone read appropriately at all. Like, Hill's just kept it and gained huge yardage. Like, again, that was a great play by David, even to make that play in the open field. But you think if Hill would have just picked the side, he probably could take off there and
they put him in a lot more dropbacks than you would expect.
Yeah, I'm definitely confused why they haven't. The Bucs got torched by Josh Allen on it. It's just weird they haven't gone to it. Here's Hill down the field off the hands of Nick Vannett. That probably should have been caught.
Yeah,
Hill again down the field has a guy open and should have had another 20-plus air yard throw there after coming into the game with none of that.
Probably a little too much air under that ball, but good enough to be caught. And Devin White carrying the scene.
White just lost.
Beat.
He looked back and lost his guy.
Yeah.
That's just a straight drop off Vanette's hands.
Yeah.
3rd and 3, though. Still a very manageable situation for the Saints.
scary thing is this is a situation where they could feasibly go for it.
Right.
Forward.
Oh, yeah. At the Bucs 42. And they don't need many yards for field goal range either here. Here's Hill back to pass, 4-man rush. Nobody comes close to him. He gets it to Ingram over the middle of the field. He'll have the first down easily. And he gets to the Bucs 37 for a gain of 5. So
lucky to get that snap off. Honestly, the clock hit 0, and they're actually showing it now on the broadcast. They're going to show the play clock as it's the ball snapped. I think they might have missed the call. That's delay a game.
wow, it's not even close. Several seconds delay game. Unbelievable, but not surprised. That's NFL officiating. Got to overcome it. But I mean, delay games, yeah, that's like basic. You can't really get those things wrong. Here's a quick throw to Callaway. Davis could have defended that better, did not. Callaway makes the catch. He's going to have 7 yards, and now they're in field goal range. Bucs 30-yard line, 2nd and 3. Clock winds under 10 minutes to play. It's 6-0 Saints. That is not a joke. That is the score. It's a real thing that's happening. Number 1 offense in the NFL is scoreless with 9.5 minutes left to play. They don't have the ball. So, not great. Hill's going under center, brings a man in motion on 2nd and 3. He's going to hand off to Kamara. He's going to run over the left side, and he'll have the first down. He just picks up 3 yards, but that's all he needed.
And now more injuries for the Bucs.
1st and 10 at the 27 of the Bucs.
Or not.
White is hurting, but he's back up. He's sucking wind is what he's doing. He's exhausted.
Really hard to see the Bucs winning this game at this point.
Need a turnover.
Which
I don't know if they're going to let Hill throw it again.
No, I would
all they need to do is get a field goal here.
Yeah.
And this game's pretty much over. Here's Hill, handoff to Kamara. Sue's got him in the backfield. He's going to lose a couple.
They actually did get their arms on that ball there. It looked like he might have been able to twist it out or had a shot at it.
Kamara never fumbles, I feel like.
Yeah, but it was a great job by Kamara holding on to it.
It doesn't really matter. They're at their own 28, so they wouldn't score from here anyway.
Yeah, they could kneel it twice and just kick it, and honestly, the game's over.
Yeah, the way the Bucs offense is played, it's pretty difficult to see without any of their weapons.
Yeah,
how they would get this thing done.
Now the question is, moving forward, how banged up are they? When do we expect those guys back? And that's a false start. Goes uncalled.
Yeah. And here's Hill back to throw. Oh, and Andrew Adams just dropped a pick. Hill gave him the opportunity to change the game, and Adams just dropped a pick on 2nd and 11.
That was the game-changing play that you almost got gifted by missing the false start call. Honestly, got lucky that it wasn't called, and then it's goes right through Adams's hands. That throw is not there at all.
Oh,
he's trying to throw a seam ball against single high. I get it.
That hard of a catch.
Yeah, but it's not there at all. Adams got eyes on it the whole way. There's no separation from Montgomery. If you want to throw that, your receiver has to fade more. It has to be more of a fade, not just a straight seam against a single high like that.
Yeah, here's 3rd 11. Hill back to pass. Protection is great. He's going to scramble, and he's going to be hit short and brought down, but he's going to have them in a very manageable field goal situation range here. And so clock winds under 8 minutes to play, and this should not be a hard kick.
And again, that missed kick from Suckup is a killer right now. So is the turnover from Brady in the red zone. I mean, they would have probably gone for it on 4th. But maybe they kick a field goal. But
yeah, 42-yard field goal here, and that kick is up and good.
Just gets
9-0 lead. 7:28 left in the game, and the Bucs are on the ropes. Unbelievable.
Yeah, not a lot to say. I mean, just not creating any separation on offense, dropping it. I mean, there's no way to win that way.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. I mean, I don't think Brady's to blame here in this game, and I know that's going to be the story, but
yeah, I mean, clearly he's not to blame. That's, yeah. I mean, who knows what, people are always going to, but there's no way you can watch this game in real life and think that, like, I just don't know what else he could have done in this game. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you can't really. I mean, he's completed the vast majority of his throws, and he's hardly had anybody open all game. And his offensive line's been getting killed, and they've dropped 6 passes. So yeah, it's a pretty hard spot, obviously. But still, 0 points. Embarrassing. It's embarrassing for everybody. There's no way to make it sound better. Like, it doesn't matter who you're without. You score 0 points in an NFL game as the best offense in the NFL. It's humiliating.
Yeah, and it took a team failure, right? It's if it's just the receivers and not the offensive line, then you have a shot. Or maybe it's the other way around. But it's the fact that it's the receivers and the offensive line. Like, there's no way around that. I don't care who's back there and how well the quarterback is playing. You're just not going to overcome that.
Yeah, and the defense obviously has played great, but when again, Hill's going to throw it to you, like he's throwing it to the other team every game pretty much at some point, and you got to make the play. And it's been that kind of night, man. Even when the plays have been that, like, pretty much every force of nature feels like it's working against the Bucs winning this game. And there are nights like that for sure. You'd love to be able to overcome them. It's just hard to see this team. And again, everybody in the NFL is running up against these games. Tyler Huntley just took it to the Packers. Cardinals just lost to the Lions. Like, you don't want to make too many sweeping statements, but it's just hard. They just have not been a consistent team at any point this season. And that's hard to believe in a team like that. Like, they just have not found consistency in what they are. And it's just hard to say when you get in the playoffs, and that you're going to be able to make enough plays to win games. Like, I know you're without people tonight, and maybe they win if they don't have those injuries. But it's bad.
Yep. Honestly, just running out of things to say at this point. It's hard.
Yeah, we've repeated a lot of the same sentiments as the team has gone 3 and out or failed to make a big play or drop the ball, like, over and over again. Some games aren't hard to figure out. Like, you got to catch the football. You got to protect.
Yeah.
Competently.
Yeah, it's like that Belichick anecdote where he's, after a loss, all the coaches are pouring over the tape on the plane ride back, and he's like, it's not about the scheme or anything. We just can't tackle. It's that simple. And in this game, you can't catch.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just really is something so simple. They're not. I don't think in a lot of the Saints matchups, you can say, hey, schematically they got beat or this happened. Can't say that today.
No. Here's Brady on 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line, back to pass, and he throws over the middle of the field, and Gronk drops it. Lattimore got his hand in there maybe, but Gronk got to box out and make that catch and doesn't do so. And again, he's like the epitome of it, right? Like, Gronkowski's had an unbelievable season. PFF's top tight end, probably best tight end in the NFL this season, and he's just playing terrible. Like, that's just a straight drop.
Yeah,
3 drops tonight for Gronk.
And he's got to be able to box out there. That's the whole advantage he has, is the size.
And that pass is batted down on 2nd down at the line of scrimmage. It's just, again, some games I just don't know, man. It just doesn't feel like you're meant to compete. Like,
yeah. Doesn't look like they have any shot at this one, honestly.
This feels like 38-3 game to me, even though it's 9-0.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
It's just impossible. They can't do anything on offense at all. And this is partly on the coaches too. I mean, you don't have players ready to play, and that hurts. Here's Brady, and he's going to be sacked again. Onyemata's going to get him, and the Bucs will punt it away on 4th and 20. But yeah, I mean, you don't have anybody like getting open, and people are not ready to play either. Like, receivers aren't ready to play. Like, guys aren't ready to step up into roles and play, and that hurts a lot, I think, in a game like this. I mean, whether it's guys can't do enough stuff or whatever it is, like, I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing.
And I don't know why they're using those camera angles where it's so zoomed in. It looked like Scotty and Darden were both open, but they weren't. There was a safety over both of them just outside of the screen there that you saw at the end that's capping both receivers' routes. They made it look like they might have been open there, but I think that was the Saints in too high, and then the corners are trailing, and then they just have that safety help right there. So nobody open down the field. The offensive line obviously getting beat play after play.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal, and Pinion caps it off with another brutal punt. 39-yarder for Pinion. And you wonder, they signed Sterling Hofrichter this past week, and you wonder if it's just a matter of time before they replace Pinion. He's just been so bad this year. He did have the one we got down inside the one, but yeah, just been a brutal performance for him again in this one. And this is a couple games in a row stringing them together. So,
yep, that's right.
9-0 Saints lead. First down run to Ingram's going to gain a yard. So 2nd and 9 coming up. Bucs are really going to get shut out in this game. Like, that's a real thing that's going to happen, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, unbelievable. The level of incompetence for a team that's this talented, even with the injuries, like, is almost unfathomable. Like, what do we even break down from this game? Like, no Evans, no Godwin, obviously hurts a lot and changes a lot of things. But man, it's just frustrating. Like, you've got nothing to get Jalen Darden like touches or Scotty Miller touches. Like, you're just going to ask them to run the same routes as other guys. Like, you're not going to change anything for your personnel. Like, are you going to use any man beaters to get guys automatically open? As Hill carries, he gets knocked down line of scrimmage by Will Golston for no gain.
But
3rd and 9.
We've also seen in the shots downfield, like, those guys are just getting blanketed. Like, you know, there's only so much you can do against man schematically. There's stuff, and I feel like we have actually seen some good stuff. And, you know, like, for instance, isolating Gronk on a wheel against Jenkins, right? Against getting these guys in space against smaller guys with the tight ends, trying to give your receivers opportunities on mesh or deep field shots, like downfield shots. But then it's Darden slowing down as he's tracking the ball. It's the offensive line getting beat immediately. Like,
here's Hill throwing incomplete on 3rd and 8, and so the Saints are going to punt. That was a weird. Just why would you throw there? Just who cares?
yeah.
Just run on 3rd and 8. Like, kill clock. It's all about the clock at this point. They're not going to score fast. This is an ugly one. This is the hardest one I think going back to that 38-3 one, obviously was the worst game, you know, I've seen since I started covering this team. But this game's up there too. I mean, this is just, you know, it's all about looking forward from here. Obviously, you need to know how badly hurt is Fournette, how badly hurt is Godwin, how badly hurt is Evans. Losing all 3 of those guys in this game is just, I mean, that's hard to overcome for sure. And if their Saints had 17, 20 points, I would say, yeah, that's hard to overcome. But they have 9 points. And now a perfect punt there puts the Bucs inside their own 3-yard line. So again, like, that's just how it's going to be. And it's like, feel safety coming here. Like 11-0 loss at home with the NFC South. And now here's the worst part. You go out next week and you'll win the NFC South. You got swept by the Saints. Like, don't talk to me about no NFC South title. Like,
yeah,
garbage. Like,
yep. I agree.
But you got win. Super Bowl is the goal for this team, obviously, and this just, it's hard to believe in them after performance like this. Now everybody can say that. I mean, Cardinals fans are saying the same thing right now, but, you know, Rams are playing better. Cowboys, their defense looks amazing. You know, their offense will figure it out. They're good enough for sure. Packers are obviously playing better than the Bucs are. Yeah, I mean, last 6 quarters for this offense, they've scored what? Well, count overtime, so 7 quarters, they've scored 10 points. You know, that's not good enough, period.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll
see how bad the injuries are, right? Godwin, Evans, you know, those are going to be critical to what this team can do next week against Carolina. You know, Carolina's offense is horrible, obviously, and their defense isn't great, but it's still a good defense, like solid defense. You know, this is it. I mean, Bucs are scoring 0 points. Like, if they're beating themselves out here, then all right, they're going to lose to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's just a question of how much is this going to carry over, right? Because there's still games to win. They don't have anything locked up yet, and they need their guys. I mean, forget about tonight. They need their guys. They need Evans. They need Godwin. They even need Fournette. Obviously, AB will be back, and that's going to be a big help, assuming he's able to stay healthy, which hasn't, unfortunately, not been a given, and it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, you know, obviously, I don't think this happened, but I mean, it looks like watching the Bucs play tonight that they like weren't even trying to win this game. It's on offense, at least. Like, it's been that pathetic to watch them, like, in some of these situations. And obviously, they're not trying to do that. I'm just saying, to see Gronk play at this level when he's played at a different level all season, to see Tristan Wirfs play at this level, Jensen, Kappa, Donovan Smith, like it's hard to put it into words like that. This just all happened at one time,
Right.
To give the ball to Keyshawn Vaughn on a 3rd and 1, you got to have
I hated that decision.
Gosh, man. Like some of this stuff is not as hard as you're making it felt like, it's impossible to understand. And honestly, at this point, I know it's 9-0. You can't take your starters out, but I just want to see him get out of the game healthy. Here's another drop. Wow, Tyler Johnson with a drop over the middle of the field. I mean, this is absurd.
Crazy. I mean, that one's just clean off his hands, open, short, underneath. Not like he's firing a missile in there.
No.
I mean, if you can't even get that, just forfeit.
Yeah, I mean,
And Darden not sure where to line up.
2nd and 10. Brady back to pass, throws, and that one's going to be incomplete. Nobody open over there anyway.
He has to get it out quick, just backed up in the end zone. Can't hang on to it, and the offensive line has given up pressure all night.
Yeah, I don't know what to even say, man. Like, they can't even complete a basic pass. So, I mean, you've seen swing passes drop tonight and underneath passes. Like,
Right, that soft swing pass to Vaughn.
Yeah, like, no words, man. Here's Brady back to pass on 3rd and 10 over the middle of the field. Tyler Johnson makes the catch. Can't run away from the corner. Had green grass in front of him. Got snagged by his ankles, and it's 4th and 4. Bradley Roby with the tackle. Bucs obviously got to go for it. Clock winding, 4:37 and counting here. This is the numbers for the Bucs offensively tonight. 3 of 14 on 3rd down. This is their first 4th down attempt.
It's just too many third downs to be in, John.
Yeah, that's right. That's a bigger story. And here's Brady back to pass over the middle of the field.
You're going to get a flag.
Yeah, you're going to finally get a flag. Now it doesn't matter, but Jenkins is going to have interfered with Brady, and Brady's barking at the official. Now you give me one, but you couldn't give me one when I was in field goal range. And it was the same thing.
Yeah, that was a lot of contact, but I mean, there have been other ones just like that.
Right.
And
yeah, that's the thing. There's no rhyme or reason.
Gronk on that whip route, Jenkins out of position, desperately grabbing his pants. Yeah, and he holds Gronk back. Gronk not able to break out of his route.
Yeah. 1st and 10, Brady back to pass, 4-man rush coming, steps up in a throw deep down the field. That ball got hit in his hand as he released it, I think. I don't think that was – it looked like the defender reached out, and as it was coming out of his hand, it looked like it wobbled and hit.
Play after play, John, the pocket is collapsing in, or even when they're generating pressure, they're not doing it with blitzes. They're sending 4.
Right. Darden also fell down on this route. I know that's not going to surprise anybody, but maybe not. Maybe his head got hit. Oh, wait. Yeah.
He's just not able to get over top of his man.
No, it didn't get hit.
He's just not able to open. Like, you're one-on-one there. You're supposed to be the fast guy.
Right. Yeah, Lattimore just owned him. Brady back to pass, pumping, looking.
What
throwing up for Tyler Johnson. Great catch, actually, finally. Tyler Johnson goes up and gets it.
I wonder if this gets called back for holding.
It's been that kind of night, so probably.
Just have a feeling.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be defensive pass interference, but.
All right, okay.
So Bucs out to their 33.
I mean, that's an incredible throw. Great catch. Obviously, incredible catch too. Again, another whip route, and then Johnson in scramble drill, getting upfield when it's not open, or when he's not getting it in the first window, and then the awareness to look back shoulder.
Yeah. And Johnson, by the way, was contested catches were like his thing in college. It's just a hard way to win in the NFL. And there's Keyshawn Vaughn falling all over himself.
I mean, he's open underneath. Brady's giving him another easy pass, and Keyshawn Vaughn just falls down as the ball's in the air. Like, just can't get out of your own way in the easiest way. These receivers, like, that's just insane. There's nothing you can do.
I mean, you literally can't even stand up. Like with Vaughn and Darden, it's literally like you guys can't even stand up on a field. Like
I think Brady could have played the best game of his life, and they're still losing. So far.
Yeah, I mean, look at that snap. Terrible snap. Brady's got to scoop it up off the ground, basically throw it away. Like, what are we doing here? Just nobody came to play, man. The lack of focus. This is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. This is the team that's the best team in the NFL. Like, come on.
Right.
Look, he has to one hand that snap off his shoe tops, get totally out of his pass of his drop back. Just ridiculous.
Just an amateurish operation here.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
So again, you see they're matching 11 personnel with dime on defense.
By the way, if you're in the chat, hit the like button. I know there's been nothing to like as Brady tries to get out of structure on 3rd and 10. He throws down the field, going to be picked off by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and that will do it with 3:40 left. Brady out of structure, trying to make something happen, and the Bucs are going to lose in embarrassing fashion. But hey, Paul and I have survived this whole thing with y'all, so please hit the thumbs up in the chat. Do something to help us out tonight. Hit that thumbs up and hit the like button on the video if you can. That'd be great and help us out a lot. And subscribe too if you haven't subscribed to the Pewter Report podcast. Tonight's post-game podcast is going to be biblical. Make sure you tune in for it. It's going to be after this game. It is going to be a doozy, so make sure you are tuning in for that one. Good play by Gardner-Johnson, tracking the ball across the field. They're undercutting that route. Yeah, obviously Brady, trying to throw it late in that situation. So I don't know what was said there. Was it? That was
talking to Dennis Allen, looked like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That was weird. No gain for Taysom Hill on the play, and Saints are going to try and run the clock down. Bucs are using their timeouts, though. Bucs going to get shut out, it looks like. So 9-0 is the score right now. Pretty much a complete disaster across the board. And they lost key players to injuries. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, going to lose their first game at home. Going to fall to 10-4. Not going to win the NFC South. Brady is going to definitely take a backseat in the MVP conversation after this. Yeah. I mean, not that most of it was his fault. They're even just trying to make something happen. Nobody's open again. And so kind of a perfect storm of events in this one. Yeah.
It's not just the loss, it's the injuries. I mean,
right. The injuries really, right. Completely, utterly deflating night to be a Bucs fan. No question about it.
As bad as it could be.
Yeah. And Saints are trying to finish running out the clock here. The Bucs are going to use their timeouts. So Saints are probably going to have to try and throw one more time here, but yeah, not many words left to describe this one. Bucs embarrassed at home by the Saints once again. Doesn't matter how good they've been, they just can't. They just can't seem to win in these situations. So,
yeah, I really felt like this would be the game where they come out, they really take it to the Saints because there were so many positive signs on tape against the Saints in Week 8. Now, obviously, that kind of just all goes out the window entirely when Godwin and Evans both go down.
Yeah. Here's Hill from the 40 of the Bucs. Going to get it and try to run off the right side. No doing. Jordan Whitehead shut it down. Tackles Hill for a loss. I mean, obviously, the Saints offense is totally incompetent, but the fact that this defense has played as well as they've played and the Bucs have no points is just unreal. As Brady breaks an iPad or was already broken maybe, or maybe he already broke it, but on the sideline. But Bucs offense going to come back out on the field, 324. Yeah, I mean, 11-point favorites. Yeah, Tony Saylor. 11-point favorites. Embarrassing. Nothing else to say about it, man. Hit thumbs up. Hit a like in the chat if you're watching this embarrassment. Hit a like. Do something good. Do something to help somebody out, man. This is miserable. Saints will punt it away. Oh, Bucs almost blocked it, and they roughed the punter instead.
Did they? Oh, my God.
I think so. It looked like. Flag down. Pat O'Connor.
Running into the kicker, so it's going to be first down. That's game. They don't have any timeouts.
Well, running into the kicker wouldn't be, but roughing would be.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they call it, but
It's roughing.
is it roughing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's clearly not roughing. What are we doing here? Roughing?
Yeah, and they're saying automatic first down.
What in the world? I mean, they're going all out the block to punt there, so. Who's hurt now? Is that Pat O'Connor down?
I think so.
What a night from hell. A night from hell. And the Saints improved to 7-7, and they've got a legit shot here to make the playoffs, by the way. They play the Dolphins next week on Monday night, play the Panthers, and then play the Falcons to finish off the season. They should win all 3 of those games, you would think. I mean, I don't know. Dolphins have played a little bit better. I mean, there's a decent chance Bucs Saints just got locked in.
Right, which would be
for the first round. I mean, not locked in, obviously, but it's going to be a decent chance, right? Saints 7 seed.
And that's a nightmare for the Bucs.
I don't care. They'll beat them if it comes to the playoffs. They're not going to do this again. But it does Godwin, Evans, those guys got to be healthy.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's insane. Like, the fact that they've lost twice to the Saints is mind-boggling because of who the Saints have had at quarterback. Obviously, as Pat O'Connor has helped off the field. Here. And so now the Saints, I don't know. The Bucs have no timeouts, so they won't be able to kneel it down here, but pretty close. But Bucs are going to have to try and find their mojo next week against the Panthers. They've got Panthers, Jets, Panthers to finish off the season. Try to get to 13-4, winning 9-0 here. Dennis Allen. They didn't even have Sean Payton. I can't even talk about this game. What is this, man? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, completely ridiculous. I mean,
hard to know what to think about this team, man.
Are you looking forward to the post-game conference when Arian says guys are open down the field?
I don't. If he says that in this game, I'm gonna be like, what the? Like, I'm gonna write about it because that's just. No, I think he'll accurately assess the problem. I mean, they've dropped 8 passes? I mean, like, it's not like this is super.
People are saying Levante David is hurt. Are you kidding me?
I've not seen injured, questionable. Yeah, Minter is out there right now. Yeah. Try and get an assessment on what a foot injury and is questionable to return. So I mean, you can't really draw up much worse night anyway. Godwin, Evans, Levante, Fournette, Pat O'Connor.
At least when they lost 38-3, nobody was hurt, as far as I can remember. I mean, I know guys were out going into that game, like Mark.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Nobody got hurt during it.
What a completely nightmare performance. I mean, a 9-0 game has been over since the third quarter. Like, what? Oh my gosh! Like, this hasn't felt like a game at all.
No.
I mean, Dennis Allen. How is this dude not a head coach? Like, again, like, this is insane. He does this every year. Like, this is.
He's got a lot of talent there too. Like, it's.
How are you not getting this guy a head coach job? Look at all the clowns running around the league running teams. Like, maybe he sucks, but I'd rather try with him, somebody who's been good for a long time. He'll get interviews again this offseason, but I don't understand it. Hill's going to hand off Kamara, and he's going to get dropped. JTS in the backfield for another stop. What's unbelievable about these matchups is how much the Bucs have totally eliminated Alvin Kamara every time they play. Every time they play, Kamara does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. True.
11 carries for 18 yards tonight.
Well, They shut down the entire Saints offense. Really, it's not like the Bucs defense was the issue whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I mean, they obviously allowed two big plays, but I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, like you're not like 9 points, you should win the game on offense. Just like we said the other side of things. Like we said, 27 points against the Bills, you like winning by 17, 10 minutes left. I don't care what the offense does the rest of the game. You should win the game in regulation. Yeah. Like it should be easy. We're saying the same thing over here.
Yeah, when you only give up 9, you should win like 99% of the time, probably even more. I bet if you look into it, like
So, well, they didn't cut Antonio Brown, so he's coming back, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. We don't know what their status is going to be. We don't know the status of Levante David. We don't know the status of a lot of Bucs, but we know that they are going to lose this game 9-0 to the Saints. The Saints are going to punt here on 4th and 19.
Man, oh man!
Another weird day in the NFL around the league, obviously, but this is 3. The Saints in this game, 3 of 16. I think I said that earlier as the Bucs. I was wrong. That's the Saints, the winning team. It's 3 of 16 on 3rd down, and the Bucs are 6 of 19 on 3rd down, 0 for 1 on 4th down in this game. And I mean, the ridiculousness goes on and on. Both these teams, 3.5 yards per play, 3.8 yards per play. The Bucs played better in the first half than they played in the second half for sure. They total yards in this game, Bucs have 261, Saints have 212. If you like offensive football, this game was your nightmare. No points, Paul. None. That's a real life thing that's happened.
I really hope they don't put out Brady.
Yeah, that would be absurd.
My guess is they'll probably actually just hand it off a couple times and call it a night, kind of like they did against Washington.
No, Brady is going back.
Brady's coming back out.
Yeah, hopefully they don't actually throw it here though.
And so is Keyshawn Vaughn. So, I mean, is something wrong with Rojo? Because even last drive, it was all Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, I know clue. Rojo is terrible as a pass game player, but I would still take him over Vaughn.
I have no clue. Got to get out of this game without losing anybody else.
And they're going to throw it.
It's Vaughn has such a little sample size to be bad, and yet he is horrible. Like, think about what he's had to do. Like, almost nothing in his career, and he's been like as bad as you could possibly be.
Probably has more drops than catches.
I think he legitimately does. Brady throwing the ball for Scotty Miller completes it.
What an effort by Ledyard to not let Scotty get out of bounds.
Yeah. I mean, it is like he is just a horrible pick. I don't know what. I mean, like Bruce talks about loving him all he wants, but come on, like Brady throwing short for Darden.
I don't know why there are 22 seconds left in the game. Why are you letting Brady drop back? Yeah. Like, he could just take a shot and your whole season's over. Like, what is the point here?
There is no point.
This is just so dumb.
It's stupid. 22 seconds left, man.
I'd rather them just take a knee.
Yeah. Right. I mean, what did people say? Oh, you quit. No, the game's over. The game's over, man. Like, they're going to hand off to Keyshawn Vaughn to finish things off here, and he's going to have a decent gain out to midfield, but he stays in bounds. I mean, not that it matters, but he stays in bounds. I guess maybe they wanted that.
And they're not.
And the clock's going to run down, and this thing's going to be over. So the Bucs lose in humiliating fashion to the Saints. Saints go to 7-7. Bucs don't win the NFC South tonight. They fall to 10-4. I think the Bucs stay in the 2 seed. We'll have to check that for you before the post game show. But on the post game podcast coming up here, we're going to get in the pressers with Arians and the players here coming up, and then we are going to be out on the post game show coming up later this evening. Look for us live around midnight, maybe. We'll probably be live around there. So hope you jump in and join us and vent this thing out. Get it out of your system before you go to sleep. Do not go to sleep with this game hanging over you. Get this one out of your system as much as you possibly can. That's what you need to do tonight. And you need to join us on the post-game pod to do it. For John Ledyard, for Paul Atwal, thanks so much. Appreciate you jumping in here and joining us, even though this game was horrible.